Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ariel Helwani Show!
Back in your life on this Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. Hello again, everyone. I sure hope you're doing well. It is great to be back on a lovely, lovely Tuesday in New York City. For some reason, my microphone seems a little hotter than usual, Frank. I'm not sure what it is, but it sort of startled me there. Maybe I came in a little too hot. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's hot outside, but does it seem louder to you than usual? Am I crazy?
You're not crazy.
Okay.
But maybe just turn down the headphones a little bit.
Yeah, maybe I should just do that. June 3rd is a date that is etched in my brain. It was 9 years ago today that the great Muhammad Ali passed away. I remember exactly where I was when I found out. I was at a Los Angeles Dodgers game, Chavez Ravine, first time visiting that beautiful stadium, Dodger Stadium, there for UFC 199 fight week. And I was with my friend Zeus, who I worked with for many years at Fox, and we got the word that Muhammad Ali had passed away, which sort of, kind of sends shivers down your spine. Obviously, he wasn't in the best of health, but an American icon, the likes of which we may never see again. A sporting icon, someone who transcended the sport of boxing, obviously one of the most famous Americans of the past century, known worldwide. Earlier in that day, I got to be on the Rich Eisen show in studio. That was very memorable. I got to catch up with my good friend Skylar Aston. I was reliving all these memories. And then, of course, UFC 199 the next day. All of this will be chronicled in the forthcoming book, Sweet 16, which really chronicles one of the most memorable years of not just MMA's life, the UFC's life, but my life as well. And so when I see that date, there are certain dates, as I've talked about on this program, that when I see them, when I say them, I'm taken back. I can't believe it has been 9 years. Yesterday was a really fun day on the program. A lot of great chatter, some great guests. Enjoyed having Elena Black, a.k.a. Cora Jade, in studio. Some great feedback pertaining to that interview. If you haven't watched it yet, do check it out. Aaron Blanchfield coming on to talk about everything that transpired this past weekend. Unfortunately, in Las Vegas, her fight falling through at the 11.5 hour. Jairzinho Rosenstrike. On and on it goes. Today on the program, very excited about today's show. These are the shows that I live for, these shows, because we have a legend from the world of sports writing, newspaper writing, sports broadcasting. Mark Kriegel is prolific. He's one of the greatest of all time. And I love these chats. I said yesterday, just like the Sean Grandy chat, I know they may not be household names to all of you, but trust me on these. When it comes to storytelling, when it comes to journalism, when it comes to understanding what it means to be a great sports writer and sports journalist, this is a multiple-time Boxing Writers of America winner. He won the Nate Fleischer Award for excellence. For excellence in boxing journalism in 2021. He has worked for the New York Post, the New York Daily News, NFL Network, Fox Sports, ESPN, Showtime. He is currently an ESPN broadcaster as well on the top-ranked shows. His name is Mark Kriegel, and he has a book that just came out today that is on the New York Times bestsellers list already. And he's written some other great books on the likes of Pete Maravich, Ray Boom Boom Mancini, Joe Namath. This is a great book right here. And look, it's thick, and it takes you up until 1988, the Michael Spiggs fight. That's incredible reporting right there. Look at that. Baddest Man, The Making of Mike Tyson by Mark Kriegel. It's a great book. We'll have him in studio at 2 o'clock to talk about this. Shawne Merriman has a huge milestone coming up on June 14th. You may be familiar with Shawne Merriman from his San Diego Chargers days, his Buffalo Bills days. He is now a fight promoter, and he has his 25th event coming up on June 14th. So that's a very exciting thing to celebrate. And the name of the promotion is Lights Out Extreme Fighting. He's got number 25 coming up June 14th, like I said, in Long Beach, California, that is. And so we'll talk to the three-time Pro Bowler, the 2005 NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year, the big man, Shawne Merriman, will join us to talk about getting into the world of combat sports. He's been at it for the past 6 years, and that's a pretty big deal. 25 events, 6 years. tough business. Good on him. And then for the first time in 3.5 years, the Black Beast, Derrick Lewis, will join us. He has not been on my show since January of 2022. And so it has been a long time. He's returning to action in July. Can't wait to talk to Derrick Lewis. All that and more right here on the program. We play 2 on Tuesdays on the DAZN show at 5 o'clock. Justice Hooney, who headlines Portman Road, Ipswich Town's own Fabio Wardley going up against Justice Hooney this Saturday on DAZN. We'll talk to the big Australian. Also, Richardson Hitchens, who defends his title next Saturday right here in New York City at the theater, attached to Madison Square Garden against George Kambosos. The two of them will join us at 5 o'clock. So a lot to get to on this busy Tuesday. Let us get into some news and notes, though. We did find out this morning that the UFC is, in fact, returning to Paris on September 6th. And so this has become a yearly stop for them. And I love the fact that On Air Jordan picked up this very authentic picture. La UFC revient à Paris samedi, le 6 septembre. Manifestez votre internet. Oh no, votre intérêt, meaning your interest. And de retour dans la capitale sportive de l'Europe. That's yeah. Thank you, Oban. Appreciate that. L'UFC Paris débarque à l'Accor Arena le 6 septembre pour la 4e fois. Inscris-toi sur UFC.com/Paris. I think PT went to the Accor Arena,
we even
right?
got like the pretentiousness.
Oh,
in
yeah.
there too. I love it. It's very authentic.
It's a great venue, huh, PT? I'm just ignoring what Greg said.
Let me tell you,
It's
what a place.
It's like a triangle, and they've got some grass on the side of it. You know,
a grass verge, if you will, a verge.
I don't know what it is. Is it a verge?
Oh, Rue de Bercy was absolutely illuminated when I was there, Ariel. Let me tell you. The fans and the refrain for the great Cedric Doumbé coursed up and down Rue de Bercy. And
whatever happened
my word, what a time it was.
I mean, he kind of
believe he's still alive, still a fighter.
I think he's found God, right?
Haven't we all?
Yeah, haven't we all? Yeah, no, it's a good point. Anyway, good to see you, PT. I like the beard. We letting it grow or what?
No, I just didn't shave. The lads were telling me that I was a disgrace showing up with facial hair like this.
No, I think it's a good look. I want to see
lads.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was just Frank.
No, it was you as well, Jordan. It was Andy. You all chorused, just like the people on Rue de Bercy ahead of the Doumbé fight. They were saying, PT, you're an ugly prick. How dare you show up like this? You're a horrible mess. It was really disgusting. I don't want to go any further on what was said because I could incite a riot, but very upset. I'm getting over it though. So happy to speak to you now, Ariel. Picking up my spirits now.
No, it's great. It's great to have you here. And obviously, we have a lot to get into, so no time for these shenanigans. By the way, did you happen to see this, PT? I wake up this morning. One of the first things that I like to do is check out YouTube, see what's going on over there. It is the hub of all things uncrowned, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yesterday we were talking about Tom, of course. Every day we have to talk about Tom. John Chael comes on, plugs his show, no problem, interview, John's retired, all that stuff. Did you happen to see this? Look at the UFC YouTube channel posting this. I'm the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Good guy, bad guy. He's retired. And first I thought, wait a second. And by the way, who made this little thing here? This is fantastic. Well done to whoever did this. Who was this? Was that Connor? Was that Jordan?
That'd be On Air Jordan.
Well done. I like that. Could we see one more time?
I speak French. I do a little editing.
I want to see this. I want to see this again. How it came up like that. That was nice. Look at this. PT, I thought this was very significant because here's the UFC, and I thought it was one of those like fake UFC YouTube channels, just like repurposing things. They're pushing the retired gimmick. They're pushing the undisputed gimmick. Like, that doesn't happen often. This might be a sign, finally, from the heavens.
Well, what is the sign, if you don't mind me asking? Like, are they trying to put pressure on Jones here with this kind of stuff?
Point.
Like, look, we're on Tom's side. Like, surely if things were changing, something would have happened, right? So I just feel like we're now in a situation where the UFC are more publicly aligned with Tom Aspinall and saying, come on, John. But really, like, we went through those weeks where we're like, this is on John. But that was only going to last so long. Like, it was always going to come back to the UFC, have to make a move. That's where I am now. Like, what are we going to do here? We need to do something. If you're just going to let John kind of twiddle his thumbs and enjoy himself in Thailand, he's going to continue to do that. Like, I don't believe what John said before, where he was saying the UFC know this situation. This doesn't seem to me like the promotion that knows the situation. It feels like they're making it up as they go along. And honestly, I think people are just fed up. I think Tom is fed up. I think he's putting on a brave face. He's having fun with it. I saw a video he did today with Adam Cattrall for their show. You know, I'm making a big announcement, kind of taking the piss out of that whole situation. But there's only so much more of this that we can take before we need to know what's going on.
Oh, 100%, 100%. But I will say, I think it's significant that the UFC is pushing this. They don't usually take these interviews unless I've missed it. And so perhaps this is a sign. To your point, what's the sign? Is the sign that they're trying to pressure him? I don't know. Is the sign that they're trying to tell us something? I don't know. I think we are going to find out soon. I'm only bringing this up not to have a whole discussion about like shit or get off the pot. I just thought it was significant that they actually reposted this and then went with the he's retired on the, like, they don't get into this like the clickbaity YouTube game. You know, they're the UFC. They don't need to get into it. And so I thought that was significant. Also, by the way, yesterday we were talking about, and I don't even know if we have this. I threw it up in the chat yesterday, but I forgot to bring it up as we were going through things. Did you guys realize we were talking about Embedded yesterday, and GC was talking about how he still watches Embedded.
Fair play.
And then all of a sudden Embedded pops up on my feed, and it's just, did you notice this? It's Shawne O'Malley with a newborn. Did you guys notice this?
Oh, the thumbnail.
I did not notice.
I'm looking at it right now.
The episode 1 of Embedded begins with Shawne O'Malley and what has to be like a 1-week-old or a 2-week-old or at most a 1-month-old saying that he just had another kid.
Wow, he's kept it
Mateo
lock and key.
O'Malley.
No one, did anyone know this?
No clue.
No idea.
I mean, I guess this is what happens when you cut off social media.
I was just gonna say, now that he's not running his own social and feeling like he has to share these things, he's actually having a private life. It's an incredible thing.
Is that a plus? Is that a plus going into the fight, or is that a negative going into the fight? I mean, having a baby is
I don't know. With it being his second kid,
yeah.
I feel like it's only going to help, honestly.
I was doing some quick research on the Tom Aspinall thing. It doesn't look like the UFC has ever posted a clip from Good Guy, Bad Guy.
Wow.
This is the first one ever.
Wow. There's something there.
I will say they're testing out this thumbnail though, because just a couple days later, it's the same thing with Shawne O'Malley, but instead of he's retired, like it says next to Tom, it says knockout incoming.
Oh, this is the new look.
I think they might just be testing something.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Wow.
What do you think? How do you rate it? How do you rate it, GC? Thumbnail.
Oh, they're fine. They don't have to worry about
It's
thumbnail.
very, very basic, but maybe basic is good.
21 million subscribers.
Minimalist.
It's Lex Friedman-esque.
Shout out to Lex Friedman.
It's just black with some white text.
Can't say I've ever seen a Lex thumbnail.
Anyway, my point is, it's like, maybe we were wrong about Embedded. Maybe news is broken on Embedded. We were talking about this yesterday. All of a sudden we find out that...
Let's clear the air here.
Yeah.
Y'all were wrong
Yeah.
about Embedded. I've been supporting.
Tell us,
No,
Dustin.
I'm not taking an L on
Tell
that.
us, Dustin. Tell us.
No,
No?
I'm not taking an L. Any of this, you just brought it to me. I didn't have to watch Embedded. That's how the system works. Anything important and irrelevant from Embedded, I'm going to find on social, or Ariel Helwani is going to tell me, and I don't need to look for it.
I just
Perfect.
couldn't believe
Shawne
this
O'Malley
popped
got
up
a
and it
kid?
was like
Now I know.
major life news.
But
That
I
is
also
crazy,
would like
though.
to say that I have tried many times to forge an embedded segment into the podcast I've done with Ariel. He just never had it. Remember that for a while I was doing it on The Ringer?
Yeah.
You weren't a fan. I was trying.
Like an embedded reaction.
Yes.
Okay.
And Chuck and Ariel not having it one bit. But I thought it was vital. As you do, obviously, GC.
Yeah, it is. It is for sure. We can chop that up.
I said...
We'll figure out a segment on the crack.
By the way, I said, like, tell us, Dustin. It was like the who the fuck is we? I was sort of...
Yeah, I was wondering where you were going with that.
Yeah, like, because I said we.
Who the fuck is we?
No, it doesn't really work.
Honestly, I was taking a really long road to get there. I was thinking Dustin Jacoby, #1 fan here, Hanyak supporter, Rick.
Oh, wow.
I thought that's
Jacoby.
what you were doing. Yeah. I didn't know where you were.
I just thought it was significant that here we are talking about Embedded and Countdown just being sort of like wallpaper, and we find out that Shawne O'Malley is a father of 2 on the first episode of Embedded. I have
Now,
not
is
seen
it
this
bad
anywhere.
form to spoil it on the thumbnail? I mean, let me.
No, I
figure
clicked
it out,
on it.
you
I
know?
clicked on it.
Okay, there's also an
But you
argument
said on
to
the
make.
thumbnail, no?
I saw the thumbnail, but it made me click. So yeah, I guess.
And how many minutes did you last in embedded? How many minutes?
Maybe like 6. But once the O'Malley. By the way, it's a really nice scene.
It's like, only 9 minutes long. You don't. There's not that many minutes.
No, I didn't have 9 minutes. Once the O'Malley kid thing was done, I moved on.
Also, this argument that their wallpaper. I mean, Countdown 438,000 views. Both the embedded, the last embedded 356,000.
Oh,
it's doing better than all their other stuff right now.
Apart from the Tom interview,
it's certainly doing better than the Rami Brahimaj in Australia.
It's
that's a shocker.
Speaking of revelations online, we talked yesterday about whether or not the UFC is washed. And our old friend Evans is feeling himself right now because he had his first tweet that got more than 6 likes. And not only that, it went like 2,000 likes.
Damn, that's a drive.
What do you mean? What do you mean? It's usually he's talking to I've actually told Dan, if you have any hot takes, just text them to me to get it out of your system, because at least I'll be sort of like an audience that will actually read what you're saying as opposed to the 6 bucks. But so he responds to the clip of us talking about like, hey everyone, can you just chill out? Can you just chill out? And we joke. I love Ant. I love Ant truly like a brother. But he actually does come from a very informed place because he's a former UFC PR head of the UK scene, head of the actual company PR head. Like he comes from a very, very informed place. This is the Megillah that he wrote to the tweet in which we were talking about this. Wholeheartedly disagree. UFC's falling off hard. Everyone can see it. You'll know better than anyone that traffic to UFC stories on sports sites is way down from 3 years ago. Again, I don't know what metrics we're comparing, but over at Uncrowned, doing pretty well these days. And look, Macy Barber falling off is a huge boost. Now, is that an indication of it being off or on or something salacious? I don't know, but what metric are we using to distinguish these days? Also, you can't necessarily use the pandemic. Keep it up there, please. You can't necessarily use the pandemic as the gauge as to, like what everything was off during the pandemic. UFC was supremely high during the pandemic. YouTube was supremely high, and everything has kind of leveled out. Anyway, we continue, and everyone can see traffic to many UFC-related YouTube channels, including the UFC's own main channel, that's down between 20 to 40% from just a few years ago. He would know because he's in this business, so I'll take his word for it. TKO's record business is based on squeezing more and more out of fewer and fewer fans. All right, yes, the gates are high. They celebrate this. I understand that. I don't think they're trying to necessarily do it maliciously, but yes, that is part of the business. Plus the the ads and all that stuff. People say it's soulless now. I get it. All right, we continue. Almost every pay-per-view feels like a fascist pep rally or tea time in North Korea. I think what he's trying to imply is tea time in North Korea is the apex scene. Fascist pep rally is the politics. Whatever. Again, I've said that we could look past it. Does it seem to be turning on more people than turning off? I would argue yes. He says it's gross. Most of the people who are done for good are over this shit, I believe is what he's saying. Meanwhile, boxing and pro wrestling are expanding fan bases left and right. Well, pro wrestling, the biggest organization, is owned by TKO. But to the point we made yesterday, the pro wrestling business, I think, is in a very good place with the likes of AEW, TNA, New Japan, and other smaller promotions doing well. They're getting into the boxing business, and, God forbid, we here on the show say boxing is doing well, and everyone says that we're crazy or that we're like glazing boxing. Well, he appears to be, he appears to be agreeing with us, although you would say like boxing is getting, as of this summer, there's a very good chance that for the first time ever, there will be no boxing available on linear TV. If Top Rank doesn't do a deal with a linear TV network, here in America, there will be no boxing entity on linear television. We continue. For the first time in UFC history, we're force-fed fights nobody wants and on the regular. Now, I don't know what that means necessarily. Like, there's a lot. The schedule is more robust. There are more events. They're not making some very high-profile fights. But what is force-fed fights nobody wants? Again, they're selling a lot of tickets, and the promotion has never been more popular. With twice as many divisions, not true. I mean, when's the last time they added a division? The flyweights? The strawweights? This is over 10 years ago. Well over 10 years ago. women's featherweight is come and gone. With twice as many divisions, not true. Endless last-minute fill-ins, that has long been a thing. He knows that. In fact, I would actually argue if you look at the data, ever since they introduced the PI, there's probably less last-minute fill-ins. Interims and vacant titles, there's no way. There was once a time where almost every division had an interim belt. The vacant title stuff is a little bit funky right now, but I don't think that that's a thing that they want, to the point that Chael made yesterday. He knows very well that there was once a time where heavyweight, bantamweight, featherweight, welterweight, middleweight all had interim belts. Fighters getting title shots coming off of KO losses, that's long been a thing. I've talked about Gustafsson getting a title shot coming off a KO loss, just one example. UFC championships mean less than ever. I disagree. Look at Jack Della. Look at what it did for the likes of Islam. Look at what it did for the likes of Dricus. On and on it goes. Merab, champs barely fight. Again, I don't think that's true. This is going to be, Merab fought in September. He fought in January. He fought in, he's fighting this weekend. John is a weird anomaly. Pereira was as active as it gets. Dricus, I think, is pretty active. He fought in February, prior to that, August, and then again in August. So that'll be 3 fights in the span of 365 days. On and on it goes. We have, okay, now he gets into like this Soviet thing. All right, whatever. Yeah, we have too many ex-Soviet growing grinders and a plague of boring betting bros. That's just part of the culture. By the way, this is all a byproduct of the success of the company, that there are betting bros that want to get into it and all that stuff. In fact, the sheer amount of talk about betting is a tactic admission that without literally having money on the line, there's very little interesting to see here. We have reached an inflection point. This is the cliff's edge. Things must change now or we'll see a massive plunge in fan interest. Do you guys remember back in December, everyone was saying the NBA is dead. The NBA is dead. The NBA is dead. The NBA is dead. Oh my God, they killed themselves. Well, this is according to Sports Media Watch. .com. The 6-game Pacers-Knicks series that just concluded the Eastern Conference Final averaged 6.96 million viewers, up 10% from the 4-game Celtics-Pacers on ESPN and ABC last year, 6.31. And compared to last year's TNT Conference Final, because Knicks-Pacers was on TNT here in America, Mavericks-Timberwolves did 6.74, so up 3%. In fact, Pacers-Knicks ranks as the most watched Eastern Conference Final since 2014 that did not go 7 games. It went 6. So my point is, 5 months ago we were saying the NBA is dead, and then the Knicks make the Eastern Conference Final, and they're getting more viewers than they have in 10 years. Why do I bring this up? Right now, it's a little down. Next month, something's going to happen, or the month after that, something's going to happen, and everyone's going to forget about this. And in the next month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months max, they're about to sign a multi-billion-dollar TV deal for America alone. Not Europe, not Brazil, not Canada, not Japan, just for the United States alone, the biggest one. Multi-billion-dollar deal is a washed company signing a multi-billion-dollar TV/streaming deal. No, they're not. They're just not. So you all sound very silly, and you sound like you're prisoners of the moment when you're doing this thing where you're going online and saying, oh, the product sucks right now. Trust me, I'm the one who sits here every single week and says the Apex is soulless, there are too many fights, all that stuff. But the business is booming. You can't say otherwise. So when you're talking about it being washed, what are you talking about? You're talking about you're not really interested in the product? Okay, that may be because you've been watching MMA for 30 years and you liked it better 10 years ago. But the business has never been hotter, the business of the UFC, and it's about to get even greater because they're about to sign their biggest deal ever. If they were having this shitty down year, they would not sign their biggest deal ever. And so just remember a few months ago when people were saying that the NBA was done, and now look at what the NBA is doing. It's not, I expect a little different. I know clickbait, all that stuff, engagement, but people who are in the business, who have studied the business, who are knowledgeable of the business, should know better, in my opinion. Agree, disagree, guys?
I hope you're right. I'll tell you that much.
We'll only truly know the effects of this, PT, in 10 or so years.
Yeah,
have they done irreparable harm? We'll know. I'm betting not. But as far as like the immediate, they're about to score a massive, massive deal with no end in sight. How could they be washed?
No, I believe that's all correct. I think the reason why the product is waning as far as we're concerned is because they're doing so well. You know, they don't have to extend themselves, essentially. I do think that some of the points he made have some merit. As in, I think, you know, we spoke about the Tates, etc. with Dana White. Like, I got a lot of people talking to me about that. Like, people who are casual fans, casual sports fans, as opposed to UFC fans. Like, I think it has a knock-on effect on the broader perception of what this sport is when this stuff happens. But I agree with you that if you're on X every day, it seems like it's going great. I do think that there's merit to some of the things he said. I do feel like some of the cards that we were talking yesterday are soulless. A lot of these cards are just, it feels like they're thrown together. It doesn't feel like there are massive stakes involved. And I know we've talked about the tier system, what these events are. But I hope you're right in what you're saying. Like, I know what this sport is at its best, and it's fantastic. It can't be beat. The live experience, everything about it. Some of the most magical moments I've ever witnessed in my life happened at UFC events. In terms of sport, it's unbelievable. I feel like we've gotten away from that a bit this year, but this is only this year. Let's hope we bounce back. And look, we are all invested in this. We all want to see the UFC do well. Maybe that's why we talk about it a lot. Maybe it's because we're concerned about what's happening. But I hope that this broadcast deal is signed, and that gives them incentives to show their new partners, look, this is what we can do. And I agree with you on that, and I look forward to seeing what that is.
There are many flaws to all of this, by the way. Like, this is not all rose-colored glasses and everything. It breaks my heart truly that they're going to sign a multi-billion-dollar deal and the fighters are going to get 0% of this. Like, it is a very flawed thing from our perspective. They're killing it. It's the greatest business in sports because they don't have to share any of the revenue. I mean, it's minimal. It's less than any other sports entity in their position or even somewhat comparable. But I'm looking at this from the perspective of the UFC and the owners, and they're killing it right now. And they're killing it.
What about the fan?
Well, the fan perspective is an interesting one because in our little bubble here, in our echo chamber, we're longing for the days of 2016. By the way, I joked with Ant yesterday. I mean, like, this dude was hawking, you know, Okami versus Marquardt in Germany when he was head of PR. Like, let's not talk about like the good old days. Some of those fight nights back in the day.
Yeah, those European events were class.
Come
they
on,
were
UFC
spreading
120.
The good word, and they were fantastic.
123. Like these weren't exactly can't miss shows. So from the fan perspective, it's like, in the echo chamber on social media or on YouTube, you may be feeling like, man, this isn't too interesting these days. Or, well, guess what? It's never been more popular. And yes, they may be squeezing, they may be overpricing and all that stuff, but people are buying these tickets.
I think we just have to be careful that popularity is not necessarily the only metric, right? Like McDonald's, right? I don't think anybody loves McDonald's. Maybe there are. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn.
Yourself, I was going to say, I do love McDonald's. But
people would prefer a gourmet hamburger, right? People would prefer a steak. People would prefer to have something that's a little higher quality. But it is more popular because it's easily accessible. And that is what the UFC is at this point. They have been commercialized to the point of being accessible to everybody. And maybe for PT, for myself, for the fans who do remember what that era looked like before and feel like the quality was higher then, there's a ton of new fans and there's a ton of fans that only predate us or predate this moment by 5-6 years who don't know what that's like and still enjoy the UFC to a high degree. So as they've commercialized this, as they've popularized this further, it has just become a different product. It is no longer the same product. It cannot be viewed from the same lens that we viewed it from back then. And it's just a different thing, and that's okay. But it's a very, very, very popular thing, to Ariel's point, and the business of the UFC has never been better.
Okay, I'd actually make...
It's certainly lucrative.
I'd make an argument that I'm one of those fans that's only been here for 5 or 6 years, and it feels down right now to me. It feels like it is at one of its most uninteresting points. Not to say that it's not going to get better. I actually agree with you, Ariel, in the point that all it takes is a few good fight nights, a new star to be born, to get momentum back. But right now, at the current moment, it does feel like it is down in terms of interest.
Yeah, it's Look, I understand where the fans are coming from. I understand that it's easy to be nostalgic and say, "Oh, back in the day," but there were flaws back in the day as well. And to me, the measuring stick as to whether or not the company is successful is the business that they are generating, and they've never generated more business. Again, we'll only truly know the effects of some of these decisions in, I think, 10 or so years. But it's undeniable that they're killing it right now. And I get it. The fan at home with their wings and their beer and their DraftKings doesn't care about that. They just want fights. Well, guess what? This is what you all wanted. You all wanted one dominant organization. Every time we talked about the Strike Forces and the Bellators and the other organizations out there, you said, no, we want them all together. This is what you all wanted. You all wanted one dominant league. And so this is what you're getting. You're getting one dominant league with no competition that has completely swallowed up everything, and they're doing big business as a result. Let's go to our first guest of the day, someone who is very much in the combat sports business, and it's a great success story. On June 14th, he'll be celebrating his 25th show, 6 years plus in the business. That's an incredible feat. And you don't hear enough about these success stories, and it's time that we highlight some of them. 3-time Pro Bowler, Defensive Rookie of the Year back in 2005, played for the San Diego Chargers, but who cares about that? Played for the Buffalo Bills as well. He's Mr. Lights Out himself, Mr. Shawne Merriman, joining us on the program. Hello, Shawne. How are you? Great to have you on.
What's up, my man? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Really appreciate you coming on, and congratulations on all the success of your organization, Lights Out Extreme Fighting. 25th show on June 14th. So next Saturday, you started this in May of 2019. Can we go back to that point? Why would someone who had a great career in the NFL, who seemed to have it all set, you could ride off into the sunset, enjoy the fruits of your labor, why get into the fight game?
You know, outside of me being a little crazy, I've always been around combat sports. So my uncles were professional boxers. And so I got introduced to the sport actually by my friend, Jay Glazer over at Fox Sports. And he introduced me to Randy Couture. And so I started training with Randy Couture back in 2005, man. Actually, my first UFC fight was back in 2005, Randy Couture, Chuck Liddell.
Wow.
And so I started training with all these guys, Tito Ortiz, everybody, like during the off seasons. So when I retired, man, it was a natural thing with my TV background, being at NFL Network and Fox Sports and ESPN, the launch of WWE Network. I hosted the WrestleManias there. So my TV background plus my love and passion for the sport, man, I was like, shit, I can do this. And that's what really caused me to launch and do what I'm doing now.
And so what was the initial goal? Like, put on a couple events a year? What were you trying to do? And where are you in that process now 6 years later?
So what people don't really know is I had a 2-year ambassador deal with Bellator. So I was working with Scott Coker and then that whole team over in Bellator and Viacom. So even before I launched Lights Out Extreme Fighting, I was already working with a big organization, learning how to negotiate venue deals and, how production works, building a team. In fact, a good amount of the staff and team that I have now is from Bellator. And so, look, I know the landscape of this business. I've been around. It was some things I used to recommend when I was working with Bellator, when I was working with Viacom, that just kind of went on deaf ears. And some things what I thought that they could be better in and just elevating just the MMA product in general. And so when I launched Lights Out Extreme Fighting, I was already like full steam ahead. It's just kind of people didn't know about it. They were hearing about it later on, and getting an opportunity to come on and talk about just my experience and being around all of them. I've been around this thing for almost 20 years. It's just I get a chance to do it on my own now.
Can I ask about some of those ideas that you had that you say fell on deaf ears? What were some of those things?
Look, I mean, there's no question. Bellator was the most known MMA organization behind the UFC for years, and they were the most solid one. And I thought that there should be other verticals like reality shows. What made UFC the UFC is the branding, the buildup, the video content, the content surrounding the actual fight. It's what made them who they are. It's not like they had the biggest fights, but it was all the content to show the program that was built around them. And so I would go to them and try to recommend some things, and it would just fall on deaf ears. And I said, you know what, if no one wants to listen or kind of, at least be open to creating some of these ideas, then I'll give you a prime example. I had, when I started working at Bellator, I did a sit down with Tito Ortiz. And, we had a sparring session. We was working out, doing stuff. And I said, this needs to be more created like that. You guys are owned by Viacom, this big conglomerate. There should be content, verticals, reality shows all the time. And it just wasn't. And so I don't know if it was Viacom who just didn't know what to do with Bellator or wasn't a important property it is. But that's why, I ended up launching Lights Out Extreme Fighting, man. I was ready to go. I just didn't want to sit back there and start pitching these ideas that no one was listening to anymore.
How expensive is something like this? Because you always hear guys come in, they blow a bunch of cash, do a couple events, and then they kind of disappear. 25 events, like I said, that's a huge success story. Did this end up being more expensive than you thought? Where are you at in terms of expense?
See, the funny part, Ariel, I've been around it so long, and I started seeing, and I'm not trying to throw organizations like GFL and these other people under the bus, because I know Darren, I know, Don Davis, and I know Peter Mary over at PFL. You can't jump out and have these big events and don't happen, right? Like, you can't have these big name on your, they didn't have a lot of stuff together before they even launched. And that's when, when I see people doing this, it almost kind of ruined the sport. It almost kind of set it back, because from the outside, I'm still a fan of the sport. I've still got friends all over it. Some of my friends were fighting on that card with GFL. But when you come out and don't know what the hell you're doing, and then you try to make it too big, you don't get off the ground, it just sours the whole damn sport. And it kills a lot of the regional promotions. It kills a lot of the other ones that could possibly be that number 2 behind the UFC, as you guys were just talking about before I came on. And so I told him, I said, you can't jump out the gate and do these things. You got to build organically. You got to start locally. You got to start regionally and getting your name out there, the brand, and be consistent with fights and not try to jump out the gate. So, companies like GFL, again, I'm not trying to take a shot at GFL, but it's the truth. When you jump out and you have these glitz and glamour and it doesn't happen, it hurts the sport overall and it hurts the business.
So, we were just talking about this. You would be a great person to ask this question. How do you feel about the current state of MMA? Like, UFC is obviously this multi-billion-dollar industry. They're about to score a big TV deal. But then there's the other organizations, which you're a part of as well. I have said in the past that I think that the MMA business is in a recession because the UFC is so hot, but there's no number 2, 3, 4 here in the United States. How do you feel about the state of things here?
No, you're right. You're right. And I think the biggest thing, for one, UFC is going to get the First and foremost, there are a lot of sponsors and people and companies are not spending money right now on regional promotions the way they should, because UFC is going to get the bulk of that. So, a lot of these sponsors and people you're working with, they're like, okay, if you're not the UFC and getting these eyeballs, we don't want to touch you. Now, you can build, but you'll never get there because the money is being spent with UFC. That's one. Two, a lot of the regional promotions are suffering, but for that reason, for the lack of sponsorship, the big TV deals and streaming deals are not given out like they used to anymore. And so it is a recession. And, I've talked to a few, there's like 3 regional promotions in this country, in the country that I think that really has a chance. If they got the right backing, if they were going in the right direction, they could be a number 2 behind the UFC. And PFL failed. PFL failed to be that number 2 for a lot of different reasons. And I don't even know if we got enough time on the show to start with the reasons why PFL failed in being that strong number 2. But they had a chance. They had the financial backing, they had the glitz, they had the glamour, they had the names, and they just didn't execute. They didn't penetrate the market enough to be a solid number 2 behind the UFC. And that, again, just like the GFL, it hurts the sport, it hurts the business when you're trying to grow and stuff that like we're doing.
Yeah. So, there was once a time where Strikeforce was just a quote unquote regional promotion, and then they made the right moves, grow. And then, there was a time here in America where they were number 2 and eventually got bought out by Zuffa. Is that your goal? Do you want to be considered number 2? UFC is so far ahead of everyone, it's not even realistic to compete with them, but to offer some sort of alternative. Is that the goal of Lights Out Extreme Fighting?
Yeah, I mean, look, we just had the fight before we have the one June 14th. We had like Tyrell Fortune on that card. We got Curtis Melinda on this card.
Yep.
We got Renato on this card. Both former Bellator UFC guys. We have every fight that we have now. We have guys that are 1 or 2 fights away from the UFC. Every single fight we've had, our co-main event or main event, is probably 1 or 2 fights away from going to the UFC. But the truth is, there's never going to be a competition with the UFC because of their branding. Like, just how they branded themselves. I'll go back home. I'm from Maryland and DC, and so I'll go back home. Even my own family be like, "Hey, I was watching that UFC thing you got the other day, right?" Like that's how well my own family say how well they branded themselves. So it's hard to ever compete, and I don't think it's smart to, but you can do some stuff that UFC is not doing, right? Because they're so big and they can't move him and pivot and maneuver just like a smaller company like us. We're putting chips in the gloves through Shot Tracker. We got a Shot Tracker technology that's in the NBA, and they work with a bunch of other leagues that you can measure speed, power, punch, G-force. So that's coming in 90 days. We got a AI sponsorship company that the sponsors change on a map while everybody's watching per country, per state, all the way down to the zip code. So we got stuff coming in other verticals. Athletes transforming. I got a show coming. Athletes called After the Game. Athletes transforming from one sport to lights out extreme fighting. There's other ways to be big and successful in this sport, but you can't spin your way to the top because you're gonna go out of business, and that's ultimately happened on PFL. Their purses and they wasn't selling tickets. They wasn't doing a lot of things correct. Again, it hurts the business when you could be a number two, a strong number two, and you just didn't execute. So that is a problem. And you're right, man. It's tough right now for regional promotions because a lot of the companies aren't spending in regional promotions direction.
Where can people watch your events?
Lights Out Sports TV, where you can download any smart TV. So I launched my own network, the free ad-supported all sports streaming platform. We got like Swerve Combat on this, Fight TV. We got 320 sports movies and documentaries, 17 different live sports. But we are still on Fubo like a week later. We're on Fubo. We're working something out now with UFC Fight Pass. BN Sports. We got a ton of distribution when it comes to redistribution. We're about to announce some big partnerships too that's coming up, more distribution. Again, you have to build this thing correctly. You can't jump in here and somebody gonna dump $100 million onto you. You're just gonna blow it. You can't. That's not the way to ever compete and any longevity in this business. If you want to be around, you got to build it the right way. You spin your way to the top, and you'll go out of business like the rest of these guys will.
How are ticket sales for you, and is that one of your biggest revenue generators? Because if you have a great local scene, you could do some good business.
It's great. And so right now our tickets are great. Especially because we do a lot of local fighters. So our undercards be filled up with amateur champions, right? They can sell 150, 200 tickets on their own because they have already built a fan base. And then when you start getting up into the main card, and then the main event and co-main event, these guys are former UFC, they're former Bellator, former PFL, right? The names that I think everyone would know. And that's our model. We want to keep organically growing, but this tech and these things that we got coming is going to change the game. By the way, once we get this tech right, we're going to license it out to other combat sports. We want these. We don't want the MMA scene to go dead. We don't. We create. We don't compete. We're not worried about competing with anybody. We organically are going to grow and be big. We're not going nowhere. But I think, as you said on the top of the show, is that the recession right now in the MMA business is tough because all the money and eyeballs, even the media. Is all going to the UFC, so it's hard for a lot of the regional organizations to grow like we should.
Do you just focus on California?
Yeah, we're actually going to Texas, San Antonio. We're lining something up this year.
Okay.
Working on Arizona and then working on Florida. So if we can get to those three states by the year's time, we'll make it happen.
Okay. And by the way, have you ever considered fighting for your promotion?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I still spar like once a week. I'll go over there with Eric and the guys over there, Extreme Couture. I'll go down to Body Shop in Long Beach, Antonio McKee and AJ McKee and those guys get some work in a Black House down there. Like I'll bounce around. They'll tell you, man. I'll jump in and if there's an open mat on sparring day, I'll get in there and mix it up a little bit. But this is my thing, man. You can't do both. You can't. Being a former athlete, like you cannot play fighting. If you're not planning on doing this and you're training every single day, even if I go in there, I can handle my own against a lot of these pros and a lot of these guys that being around. It's different than a real fight. So my idea and the whole thing was if I ever was going to fight, that I had to step away from doing what I'm doing almost completely and just train if I was really going to do it. But yeah, there's guys I've called out before that kind of talk on the internet or talk on social media, and I'll reach out behind the scenes. I'll offer a real contract in the crickets.
Wow.
Right?
Like who?
Yeah, like James Harrison is going back and forth with Chad Ochocinco right now. Like I would definitely fight another, former NFL guy. I'll fight a former WWE guy or, another athlete from another sport. That was the only one I would consider to make sense.
Yeah.
Right. That I think that people are really tuned into. They got a combat sports, even Muay Thai, boxing or jiu-jitsu, some kind of background where they've had some exhibition fights or whatever. Like I would love to go do that and put on a show for a lot of people and have it on Lights Out Sports TV and do it on Lights Out Extreme Fighting. But again, nobody's really kind of stepped up to the plate, and I'm not gonna waste my time like to keep calling people out on the internet and nothing happens.
Sure. And to be clear, Harrison or Ochocinco interests you more?
James Harrison, man, like Debo. I think that people would love for me and Debo to get after. I think that people would line up to pay to see that, and I think that it'll be a big deal. He's a monster.
Yeah.
Truthfully, he really is a monster. And I think that everybody will tune in to watch.
MMA or boxing?
He can get it however. Honestly, any way that he was looking at doing it, I would do it in a second. Because I think it'll be so big. And I would go to the commission and see if we can do some kind of rules and just make it one night and still have it Lights Out Extreme Fighting. Obviously, I would put a hell of an undercard together. Some guys we're looking to try to build up and some former UFC guys and I'll make it a whole damn. Have some other form. Le'Veon Bell, I'll call up. I'll call Pac-Man Jones. Want to fight Antonio Brown? Look, I'll stack the whole damn card up that night if people are willing to do it. But again, there's a lot of talk, man. And I'm too busy to chase people that don't want to fight.
Back when you retired, there was some talk of you maybe fighting for a Japanese MMA organization. Was that ever a real thing?
It was I was supposed to have a fight with Bellator.
Oh.
I was in talks with Bellator and Scott Coker and then Mike Kogan, all the guys over there to have a fight. This is the thing. Back when I tried to have a fight with them, the money I was asking for, I was too early. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
I was too early because now if I was to ask for the money after retiring from the NFL, they would pull up to my house and drop it off in the bag, right? And so when I asked for it, it was almost like it was too much. It was way too much. And I was just ahead of the curve on former athletes or any kind of influencer getting into a cage or a ring. I was already training for it. They're the ones that didn't counter my offer, but I was ready to go. And then, I signed to do the bare knuckle. I think you're talking about the bare knuckle league that I signed a contract for that too. And a lot of those guys not end up getting paid. And I chased the guy for money, and he's actually in jail right now. He's locked up because a lot of guys fought on that card and didn't get paid. And I pulled out because I realized it wasn't smart. It wasn't a good situation.
What about WWE? You were talking to them too, right?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah. It was two things actually. So I still talk to the WWE, and I actually just do a lot of work with TNA Wrestling right now.
Yeah. I saw you clothesline Joe Hendry.
Yeah, that was great. I was waiting to do that.
Look at you. Look at you here. I mean, this is a beautiful clothesline right here.
So AJ Francis, who played, look at that. Boom.
Look at that.
AJ Francis, right now, he played at the University of Maryland, played football at the University of Maryland. So he was the one that kind of came up with some ideas. And then the TNA Wrestling guys, who I've known for a long time, they said, yeah, we can do it. In fact, we're talking about stuff right now, doing more. I just hosted the other day. They had Unbreakable, I think it was. That I hosted a couple matches there. So it's not off the table, man. I still train. I'm still, I'm a 14-hour, 16-hour day guy when I'm just going. And but I'm really focused on Lights Out Extreme Fighting because I do think that there needs to be a strong number two. And there's some other good promotions out here, like LFA, and there's some other really, really good promotions out here. But I think we got that opportunity to be a real strong number two.
You have your own platform, and that's part of the I would guess the business plan is to grow that as well. But do you need some sort of TV deal or a streaming deal in order to be successful, or is it okay the way you have it set up now?
It's good how we have it set up, but again, I'm not, as far as the live content, this is why I took all the live content, I put it back on Lights Out Sports TV. Unless you're willing to pay for it, and I know that we got great content. We have a 3.5, 4 hour plus show every 4 weeks on a consistent basis. So unless someone's really serious about paying for the content to take it off the platform, then I will. Other than that, we're fine working with Fubo and some of these other guys. But if you want the live content, you're going to have to pay for it. again, to your point about the MMA game being in a recession, there used to be big contracts paid out for this type of stuff, and people are not paying anymore. So I say, you know what? Fine, I'll do some kind of replays on a week or two basis later. But as far as live content, you got to pay for it. If you think it's viable, which it is, you gotta come to the table.
By the way, when you were playing in the NFL, were you a big fight fan as well? Like, were you following it, or because you were so locked in, you didn't? I know you said in 2005 you went to the UFC event Couture Liddell, but like, were you thinking about all this, or did it really all come to fruition afterwards?
My plan after the NFL was going to go to the WWE, sign a contract there, and then fight also.
Wow.
That was the plan. And nobody was going to convince me anything different. And with the WWE, I think it was more of, I own the name and rights to Lights Out, the trademark.
Okay.
And they have a situation where they build their superstars. They build their talent. They own that name. For me, I just wasn't willing to budge when it came to that. But it was a total respectful situation where they understood what I was building and what I had going, that I've already built up to the point where I can request and ask for different things. So it wasn't a negative part ways type of deal at all. It was a really, really good understanding on both sides. And so for me, I was going to fight for Bellator before I launched Lights Out Extreme Fighting, and I was going to sign a contract with WWE. That was what I was going to do as soon as I retired.
Man, this idea of maybe having a main card of NFL guys fighting each other, you just listed like 3-4 fights there. I think that could be a nice little one-off. I think that could be something. Any chance? You feel good? Do you think it could happen, or do you think it's just a bunch of guys talking for the internet?
It depends, man. You've been around this thing for a long time, and so you'll kind of look. I've told people I'll fly out with contracts and checks, right? And I've told them, I said, let me know, and I'll make it happen. Pac-Man called out Antonio Brown. I think that could happen. Obviously, I would try to be on that card, but Le'Veon Bell is another one to call out several. So again, I would do it in a second, but I don't have the time if guys are not really wanting to do it. I just have too much going on with Lights Out. And but yeah, who wouldn't? You know what I mean? Like get a couple former WWE guys to train and stack that card up, man, and just have a hell of a night. I think it'd be great.
How many events do you average a year?
Anywhere between 10 and 12.
Oh wow, okay. And so in 2025, how many events do you think you'll do? We're here.
We'll probably do 12. And I would, if we got into a situation with the right partners and things like that, I would like to have 18 to 24 events a year.
That's a lot, no? Isn't that a lot?
Yeah, it's a lot, man. But again, it depends on location. We have so many fighters reaching out all over the country now because of the visibility and our growth over the last really the 18, 24 months. It's like we're getting so many people to reach out. Now we're getting people to reach out from other countries that's fought in Bellator, that fought in PFL, fought for UFC. A lot of Brazilian gyms down at Black House. We work with a lot of guys down there, and they're trying to. So our growth, man, it's almost like, first of all, I got to hire some more people. One, and then two, it's really about having the right TV partner. Once that happens, I think it'll allow us to really take that next step.
By the way, I got a bone to pick. I see 2 Chargers paintings or pictures behind you. Where's the Bills love? Are you not proud? Okay, there's a jersey, but I want a picture of you in action. Where's that is not bad. Who signed that? Is that the whole squad?
Yeah, that's the whole team.
Damn. What year?
I think that was in 2011, 2012 or something like that. So I got like Mario Williams on here, Fitzpatrick. I got all the boys on this.
Which franchise did you like playing for more?
Well, we won more games with the Chargers.
Yeah.
So, I'm always going to be a Charger for life, man. But I'll tell you this, at first, when I went out there to Buffalo, because I was basically waived by the Chargers, I was scratching and screaming. I did not want to go.
Really?
I was like, man, I'm not trying to go to Buffalo. And not because of the city of Buffalo. They were like 0-6 in October, in the middle of the season. And I didn't want to go for that reason. Buddy Nix, who was a general manager at the time, had called me and said, Shawne, you're going to love it. I was like, buddy, I don't care what you say. And I basically hung up the phone on them. They put my contract anyway to the NFL. I got out there, man, and I'll tell you, it's the best experience I've ever had as an athlete in my life.
Wow.
Those fans, man, it felt like you're playing for cousins and second cousins and uncles and nephews. Like you feel like family out there. And you don't have that experience in anywhere in the country. It's just a different place. I wish every athlete got a chance to experience just playing for a year or two out there, man, because it's a different beast. It's a different ball game.
Man, preaching to the choir. One day those people will be rewarded, right? They've got to win one. Those guys, they're like the most loyal fan base in the NFL. And I know there's a lot of great ones, but the Packers have won all these. The Bills, Mafia has to win one. They've got to win one. They've put in the time.
They got to get over the hump. The problem what happens when you don't get over the hump fast enough is the everybody else in the division gets better. And like Drake May and all those guys, the Patriots, the Jets going to be a better team probably this year because they got a new coaching staff and they're going to be better. So the gap is closed a little bit more. Not saying they couldn't do it. I still think they can. But it's going to be a little bit tougher road because now you got to get out of your division first, right? You might get beat up a little bit in your division depending on how the rest of the teams play this year.
I know you were doing stuff NFL Network, ESPN. You alluded to that earlier. Are you doing any analyst work now, or are you just focused on the business?
Just focus on the business with Lights Out Extreme Fighting and the network. We want more combat sports. We got the Ultimate Fan Zone. We got a tailgate show coming up that'll be in some of the NFL markets parking lots this year called the Ultimate Fan Zone. It's going to be a mega monster. We got like 16 teams that we're doing this year. We're going to simulcast all the tailgates 2 hours before kickoff. 3 former players. We're going to have 3 former players to every team as hosts. And I partner with Game Day Hospitality, which is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, tailgating company here in the country. So we're gonna make a show out of the pregame, man. This is going to be something that's never been done before. It'll be on Lights Out Sports TV. But we got 3 former guys locked into every team, which is pretty crazy.
I love it. So again, Lights Out Extreme Fighting 25, June 14th, your 25th event. There it is. Thunder Studios in Long Beach, California. You got the likes of Curtis Millender facing Renato Velante in the main event. Lights Out Sports TV. You can watch it. You can buy tickets on purplepass.com. And you guys are doing big things and putting on more events. Did I get it all right there as far as the places to go?
Yeah, lightsoutaccept.com. So if you're in SoCal, we got some more announcements coming up. We're trying to get Tyrell Fortune, Jake Babian is back on this card as well. Well, not in this card, but the next card. He's another one that I think probably 2 or 3 fights away from UFC. So we got like 10 guys, I think, in the pipeline who got a real shot, in the next couple fights, man. So check us out June 14th, Saturday, in Long Beach, California, at Thunder Studios.
Great to have you on, Shawne. All the best to you. All the best to your son as well. I believe he's doing big things in the world of football, and we'll probably be hearing a lot more from him over the coming years. So congratulations on all the success, and congrats to 25 events, and hopefully you guys get 2,500 more down the line. It's great to see.
Appreciate it. Thanks, man.
All right, there he is, Shawne Merriman, the founder, the CEO of Lights Out brand, and you've got Lights Out Extreme Fighting 25 on June 14th. I do think it is important to highlight some of these organizations that are working on the regional circuit, if you will. This is the heartbeat of the fight game, and here I am talking about UFC doing well, but MMA is in a recession. Well, the Lights Outs, the Octagons, the KSWs, the Cage Furies, the Cage Warriors. It's important to talk about these guys. Obviously, the Risens as well, one championship doing their thing. I'm proud of the fact that we try our best, while obviously giving the majority of our attention to the UFC. We try our best to highlight everything going on in the world of MMA and in the world of fighting. Uncrowned.com killing it these days. There's a great piece up right now. Elliot Werso, who I think is one of the best writers in all of combat sport. I mean, I think pound for pound between Elliot, Chuck, Ben, Pizzi, John Nash, the great John Nash, who does amazing work regarding the business side of MMA, has a piece up right now, his first piece for us, about the UFC's latest antitrust threat, if you will. Elliot Werso has a great piece on Manny Pacquiao, and the trouble with growing old in a young man's game. Drake Riggs has been killing it. My guy Darshan is the pride and joy of the site, in my opinion, because we found him. He's a youngster, and he is absolutely crushing it as our lead boxing writer. We have added others like Jake Donovan. Who else have we added? Lewis Watson recently, and many others. I'm forgetting names. I apologize. I'm so proud of the site. And all the credit goes to Shaheen Al-Shadi, editor-in-chief extraordinaire, who is leading the charge. So something truly for everyone. It's the best combat sports site on the internet, and there's no doubt about it. And I would like to just say, beholden to no one. No ties to promoters, no ties to networks. We are truly independent. And yeah, that's right, Oban. You want the truth? You come to us. And I see some people saying like, oh, Ariel, you're trying to get into the good graces of the UFC. No, I don't give a crap. Have you not, like, I know it's fun to troll, but like, we do our thing, we speak our truth, and when it's bad, when it's shit, when it's the product at the apex that is soulless, that is stainless steel, if you will, there's no heart, there's no nothing, there's no panache to it, we'll say that. But we can't get caught up in that. The business is booming. And ultimately, that's the greatest indicator of where you're at as a business. You want to know if you're washed or not? Look at the finances. If the finances are at an all-time high and more to come, you ain't washed. You're not cooked. You're undercooked. There's more cooking to come. Anyway, in about an hour's time, we're going to be joined by Derrick Lewis, who I have not talked to in about 3.5 years. In a matter of seconds, in a matter of moments, we are going to be joined by the great Mark Kriegel. This book comes out today. Mark Kriegel, one of the greatest sports writers of our lifetime, of the past century. And he didn't even get into all of this covering sports. He was a crime guy. He was a police guy. 2021 awarded the Nate Fleischer Award for Excellence in Boxing Journalism. Multiple-time Boxing Writer of America Award winner. Multiple-time Emmy winner. Has worked for the NFL Network, Showtime. Has written books on Pete Maravich, Pistol, The Life of Pete Maravich. Namath, a biography about Joe Namath. The Good Son, The Life of Ray Boom Boom Mancini, which later was turned into a doc. Bless Me Father, a novel. Has worked for the Miami Herald, Esquire, the New York Daily News, the New York Post. Like I said, NFL Network, Fox Sports, Showtime, and ESPN. Right now, this book available on Amazon. It's already a bestseller. But any location where you get your books, Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, Penguin, and a whole lot more. He's been everywhere, but this is the main event right here. Let us say hello to my good friend, the inimitable, the legend himself, one of the greatest of all time, the one and only Mark Kriegel. What a great honor this is.
You got me confused with someone else,
man. My God, he brings in his book. It's great to see you, my guy. Oh, yeah, look at you. Come here. I have seen you. Who's doing your PR, Mark? Because I have never seen a book get this kind of PR in the year 2025, 2024, 2023. You have been on every show. I was even noting you did like a 15-minute hit with Scott Van Pelt on SportsCenter. Authors don't get 15 minutes. And I know you're an ESPN guy, but the PR has been fantastic.
That was Van Pelt.
Yeah, what did I say?
Well, that was my boss.
Nah.
I think McQuaid.
That's you, man. That's you.
Nah, it wasn't me.
Who's doing your PR? You're everywhere. You're with Stephen A. You're on every single podcast, but is it not true? You said this was the main event for you, right? This was the one you were looking forward to the most?
This is...
Okay, thanks.
From the time I was born.
Thank you. You look fantastic, by the way.
But it's fatigue.
Are you tired?
But it's Penguin, and also I do got Fred Sternberg.
Oh, the legend. Hall of Famer.
Best PR guy, best boxing PR guy I've ever seen. My lifetime.
Are you tired of talking? I mean, because when I talk to you, you're a little bit like, hey, I don't want to promote myself. I don't do the social media thing. Here you are. I see you on every show talking about yourself, your career, obviously the book, but does it get tiresome?
Well, I have an imperative to be a bit of a whore right now.
Sure.
Which I don't mean to be. I feel somewhat self-conscious about it, but if I don't sell it, no one else will.
Is it fun?
Except for Sternberg.
Do you enjoy this part of it?
Some of it. Some of the interviews have been really extraordinary.
Okay.
I thought, I was like, wow, really good questions. I have great expectations for this one.
Okay.
We're locked in here for not.
This is it.
This is where all the young people went, like this building.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there.
I can drink my coffee.
Of course, do your thing. We want you to be comfortable.
I got to be caffeinated.
I know you just. You were just sort of exposed to what we're doing here at Uncrowned, and you're a huge fan of the crack, you told me, which I told the guys they were.
I liked it very much.
Thank you.
Really did.
You said it was smart.
I really did.
It was a great compliment that you paid us. Thank you for that.
They always go together.
Yeah, no, I know.
Smart and combat sports.
How's
the mic? I'm good.
The mic
here?
is good. Are you comfortable?
Yeah, I feel like I'm all right. I'm good.
When someone's on my show, I like to listen to recent interviews that they've done to sort of get a temperature of where they're at.
Do you listen to podcasts?
Yes, I love podcasts.
Because when do people have time? Like it's an hour and a half podcast.
Commuting, working out.
You don't listen to music?
Walking the dog. I like podcasts. I don't know. What do you do? No podcast?
I listen to music, man. I got my Spotify. I got I got the Stylistics, the Manhattans, the OJs, Ohio Players.
You're not dating yourself at all.
I know I'm dated. I'm ossified. I wrote a book. This is not even like a current thing. Like what is it? Like a book is an esoteric thing now.
One thing that you keep saying in the interviews that no one's asking you. Sometimes I love interviewing, so I listen to the interviews and I'm like, well, you got to ask this. The door's been open and they don't.
What did you want to ask and no one's asked?
You kept saying you owed the publisher money.
Oh.
You said they keep asking you, why are you writing a book about Tyson? Mm-hmm. And you said you owed the publisher money, and you were trying to figure out what to do. And I'm like, what do you mean you owed the publisher money? You signed a deal with them?
I signed a deal.
Yeah.
I signed a deal for a book that didn't work out.
What was the book?
The first guy to ask this, and I've been trying to avoid.
Yeah, something in Dubai or something.
No, that was something different.
Okay. So what was the book?
Pat Riley.
Pat Riley. And what happened?
Whom I loved when I was a columnist covering the Knicks, but I'm less fond of right now.
What happened? Did he agree and then pull out?
No, it wasn't. I never asked the permission of the subject. I'm going to write what I'm going to write. Book didn't work out for a couple of reasons. And then I got the ESPN gig, and I was in an airplane all day.
So this is a while ago now.
I signed this deal in 2016.
Wow.
And
specifically for Riley?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I love Pat. He was like my favorite coach, and he was, Tyson was the villain in my column.
Yeah.
Riley was the hero, and I took the position. No, I think it was more than a little justified that the Knicks letting him go, and I know that in itself is a subject of some contention, was why the fortunes of the franchise went down, and look what he did in Miami. So I thought it was going to be a glowing biography, but Pat didn't want to be written about, or didn't. I think it was a matter of control. And one of his guys called me and said he'd be in touch, and I never got the call from either his guy or Pat, but I got some other roundabout communication, which I was not particularly happy about.
Did you need his approval?
No, I don't need anyone's approval. It's a free,
so why not continue with the book?
I didn't have time. I didn't want to I didn't want to fuck around with that anymore. It was just enough. I got a call from his guy, and I had written glowingly of Pat. Okay, and I started doing this biography, and I can't be in a position of asking for permission, because then what I think about the subject, it kind of goes away. So, I started doing this with Joe Namath, and I had a story about Joe Namath, and I had an idea about Joe Namath that made me fall in love with the subject and the idea of it. And when I went to Joe, I think essentially he saw this as a licensing deal. I saw it as a biography, and you can't do a proper biography. And I'm not writing an autobiography. I'm not writing an as told to. I'm writing a book by Mark Kriegel, and that's sacrosanct to me. So I did it without Riley. I did it without Namath. Maravich had passed away. His family was very, very generous to me. Mancini cooperated in full. But I sent stuff to Pat. We talked briefly, and then I heard, it's funny because you're the only ones to ask this. I heard from one of his guys, Coach or me will be in touch with you by next week. Instead of anyone getting in touch with me, I heard from, I can't tell you how many people, I just got a message saying you may or may not be getting calls from a Mark Kriegel, do not cooperate with him.
Wow.
So like just about like everyone ever played for him or coaches, and I thought that was like, that's fine to do. That's cool, but like, I treated you really well, and I adored you. You know, Pat. Like
Yeah.
I thought he was an extraordinary coach. What he built is extraordinary. And if you want to shut it down and tell everyone not to speak to me, that's cool too. That's fine. But at least, like, come to me first and say, I'm going to shut it down.
So,
But I didn't have time to, like, fight with him. And I got this ESPN gig, and I was in an airplane all the time. So the publisher, I said, hey, take the money back. No, we'll get you some. We'll get you some to do. I said, no, take the money back. Really, I love what I'm doing. I love the boxing gig with ESPN. And finally, 5 years later, hey, we need the money back. Unless, would you consider doing Tyson? And my thought at that time was like, I'd rather drive a spike through certain parts of my body than go relive Tyson. I was also like pretty medicated at the time.
okay.
I just torn a hamstring.
Oh gosh.
So I was like, not in
Doing
my right
what?
mind. I was sparring.
You were sparring.
Not
Wild card?
particularly well. No, Churchill
Okay.
in Santa Monica.
Did you spar often?
I did for a while.
Who's that? Maybe it's Pat Riley.
No, it's not.
He's been watching.
I can't tell you. Top secret boxing guy.
Okay. What does he want to talk about?
I don't know.
Does he not know you're live on the program?
Apparently
not,
not
yeah.
everybody.
So the funny thing about this story is you go from one guy.
I've told that story now. I can't tell you how many times. No one's asked me, like, what did you owe the publisher money for?
There's a bunch of times where I'm listening where I'm like, why? This is an obvious follow
I'll
up.
tell you what, though. I was kind of heartbroken for a little while because I thought I had something to say about Pat and how he changed the game. And, like, to me, it was a layup. It was going to be a pretty, certainly a complimentary book because I admire the guy greatly. I just didn't like, if you could tell me you're going to call me back, call me back.
Yeah.
Don't let it come back through that type of channel. I think it was cool.
So here you are working in the New York scene, one of the best writers in the game, and you're
Well, that's a matter of opinion, but
my opinion, and you're very positive towards Riley. He ends up kind of, turning his back. This guy, Mike Tyson, you were not positive about, and you end up doing the juxtaposition there is wild. Like what was the beef with Tyson? Because you tell a story of going up to him and saying like, I probably wrote more shit about you, more negative stuff about you than anyone, and yet the guy still gave you time.
It was the way that our careers intersected. So when I had no ambition to be a sports writer.
Which is shocking to me because you've gone down now as one of the greatest of all time.
I don't know about that, but
Were you not a sports fan?
No, I was a big sports fan. I played a lot of basketball, and it was my entree into sports. But no, I wanted to be like a city side columnist. Like my hero was Pete Hamill. I was covering cops in courts. I was a general assignment reporter at the Daily News. And my first Tyson assignment was, I guess, looking back, it was the summer of his kind of first crack up in '88, after the Spinks fight. I get a call like, run up to Harlem. You just got into a fight with Mitch Green. I said, where? Like, Dapper Dan's. What's it, like a club? No, it's a clothing store. Go, get up, And it was a goof. And then a couple weeks later, I get a tip from.
What do you mean it was a goof? It was a prank?
No, it wasn't wow, this is cool.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Did you talk to him that night?
I don't remember. Probably more likely, no.
Okay.
Probably more likely talk to Mitch Green, who was hanging out in the streets, wouldn't let go. Because this became a moment for Mitch. A couple weeks later, I get a call. He tore up the mansion in Bernardsville. And he's, looking back, he was a young guy cracking up, and he was becoming famous in a way of a magnitude that can be fatal, certainly in American culture. I spent a lot of time in the neighborhood he grew up in, Brownsville. I covered I covered a homicide like for probably the better part of a year in the Tilden project. So I knew the neighborhood well, the 7-3, the 7-5. I covered a lot of cop stuff in Brooklyn North. My entree to sports was I did a basketball piece. Like the Daily News had like a 3-on-3 tournament to promote. I shit you not. And of course, I took it very seriously. And they just wanted some kind of promo piece because they had a Sunday magazine. And I wound up doing a kind of, I didn't even know what the hell I was doing at the time, a reported essay about basketball in New York, the thesis of which was that basketball was like politics or crime. In New York, it's always a tale of ethnic succession. And in the same way that, Brownsville had been, Italian and Jewish, or Brownsville had been Jewish, East New York was Italian, and now it was, it was black. But I charted all the basketball through there. I remember there was a great player from Brownsville doing time now, led the nation in scoring, Fly Williams. He was part of it. World Free was from Brownsville. He was in the piece. So I had all these like Brownsville guys in the story. And somehow that led to me being a sports columnist. It was a finalist for a Pulitzer Prize, which obviously it was a exceedingly weak year for Pulitzers. But, and later on, I was at the Daily News. The New York Post is buying out its sports writers because Murdoch had to leave. Follow me for a second. And they had no money. So the sports writers were taking a buyout. We're sitting at the bar, me and friends of mine. And an editor at the Post says, what the hell am I going to do? I need a sports columnist. And my friend, Mike McAlery, who's a great big city columnist, says, well, let Kriegel do it. Let Kriegel write the column. I said, nah, I don't want to write the column. The guy says to me, like, listen, I don't really give a shit if you want to write the column or not. He goes, all I want them to turn over the paper and go, I fucking hate that kid. He wanted red meat.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be like a street poet or something, But we also knew the Daily News was about to go on strike. So, 2, 3, 4 months into being out of work, I took the gig as a columnist at the Post gladly, but without any qualification. Like, there was no excuse for me to be a goddamn sports columnist. I didn't know enough. Of course, I thought I did.
Sure.
Which, so that's 91. And by that time, Tyson was into full-blown misbehavior. And, he became my villain.
This is a bit of a departure, but I'm so fascinated by this stuff, so I
hope that wasn't boring.
I love this stuff. I was telling the guys, I was so looking forward to this chat because I can't get enough of like sports media and the classic New York 90. This was
the 80s still, sort of.
80s, early 90s, but like when you talk about the Riley Knicks.
But can I just want to.
Sure.
One of the things that does factor into this, and you could talk to whoever but a lot of the kids that I covered, they weren't kids, they were young men, as I was, in Brownsville when I was covering basically crack dealers, were contemporaries of Tyson, and they figure in the story. And I loved basketball. I had a deep affection for basketball. I liked the Yankees. I was a Jets fan. The teams that I rooted for the most, I kind of hated on the most, except for the Yankees. But I didn't want to be a sports columnist. I wanted to be a big city columnist.
Sure.
But the only place I found was like, oh wow, I'm home, was boxing.
Really?
And I remember going to Bo Holyfield 1, being ringside, and seeing like the globules of sweat or Vaseline flying off of Vander's head. Like, I don't know what, I know the 10th round was great, but I'm just sitting there going, holy shit, this is what it is, man. This is, I love this. this was great. And I'm not sure I really think of boxing as a sport, yes, but to me, it's more like, where like show business meets organized crime. And I loved it. I always loved it. I still love it.
Which Tyson fight did you cover in person? Which was the first one?
First one would be when we got out of jail. It was McNeely.
Oh, wow.
Which was really like, show business meets organized crime.
Yeah.
So you had like Don King was at his full power. And I remember like the bar at the Betty Boop at the MGM was nuts. And I'm doing a pre-fight scene piece with this woman, Divine Brown, I think. She just got busted with Hugh Grant.
Oh yes.
Doing something improper.
Gosh. She was there.
Yes, she was like shaking me down for like she wanted an extra cognac or something, a triple Hennessy and a souvenir goblet, and I was like, I can't pay you for the interview, but I can buy you a drink. So.
Wow. I love these stories. I love these stories.
I've never, so that was pretty. That scene was pretty nuts.
So you were at the ear biting fight.
I was not at the ear bite. I was at the first one.
Okay.
I missed the ear biting fight for my honeymoon.
Oh wow. Good excuse.
Not really.
Were you sort of lamenting it, like we were like, damn, I should be there? Were you having FOMO in the moment?
It was kind of like a holy shit.
Yeah, especially after the fact, right?
Yeah, but I mean the ear biting went down in history. My marriage, my first marriage, didn't.
Sure, but you recently got married.
Yes, I did.
Mazel tov.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. You tell a great story about linking up with Mike after I think you were sort of like on the outs with your new wife. You guys had right, and he kind of like, this is the beauty of Mike Tyson.
I'll tell you, this is
terrifying guy, but heart of gold.
So.
And by the way, talking to the microphone, I want to.
Okay, all right. So, can I make this?
Yeah, do whatever you want. It's all you.
So, we actually have the same agent.
Okay.
A guy named David Villano. He did his autobiographies, 2 volumes, and by the way, they're really good. They're really good, and you can tell. One of the things I hate about As Told To is the level of bullshit and when the subject doesn't hold himself up to the strictest scrutiny, which is very, very difficult to do. But Tyson doesn't, nor does his co-author, Ratzo Sloman, pull any punches with himself. It's eviscerating. I think it's one of the least merciful self-analyses I've seen in print. Certainly from a sports guy, the others would be Raging Bull. But I don't think that like Jake LaMotta really thought it through. And the other, curiously enough, is Joe Pepitone's autobiography, which is he's merciless on himself. Anyway, so I decide I'm going to do Tyson. I talk myself into doing Tyson, which is a whole other thing, because you have to love the subject. And how am I going to love, even if the subject hates you, you got to love the subject to do a proper biography. So we get on the phone, and at that time we'd like split up for a while. I guess she couldn't take me with my hamstring and bitching about this book, and perfectly reasonable position. And I said, yeah, man, I split up with my girl. And he says to me, I think he was like having a bowl of like Captain Crunch or something. And he goes, hey man, he goes, don't blame yourself. It's not your fault. Don't blame yourself. I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, like where like what planet am I on, man?
But that is Mike Tyson, right?
Yes. It was like, don't blame. Well, it's Mike Tyson in this new millennium.
Sure.
And I don't know of. I can't think of a guy who has evolved more in public.
He's Uncle Mike now. And there was a time where he was, America's Most Wanted.
He was a pariah.
Yeah.
He was a pariah.
What was the turning point? Was it really the movie?
I don't know. I think the turning point was him getting married to Kiki. My opinion.
She's the brains behind it all. She.
I think she guards the palace gates. She's probably the toughest. That's the best I can tell. His wife, his current wife, Kiki. I think that's actually the turning point. Trying to think what else. The Hangover is cool for young guys like you, your generation. But it's cosmetic. It's not. He could have gone off the deep end after that anyway.
Okay.
But for whatever reason, this marriage took, and she did the script for his one-man show. And I think that, first of all, that in itself begins to codify the myth or the legend, or at least his version of it. And once that happens, there's a road to public rehabilitation. And, what I saw was before Spike Lee got a hold of it and polished it and went out to Broadway. That's all great. But what I saw was this real guy, and he was reading from essentially a script that he had written or his wife had written for him. And that's what I'm sitting in the MGM watching it in preview. And all of a sudden, this guy, I just beat the shit out of him in print. Not that that matters at all. I'm holding back tears. And it's real because it was raw. And I had never seen him like that. I guess he was kind of newly sober. And then I went back. I've told this, you've probably heard me tell this story now a billion times because your reporting is really good. And I went back and I told him about, chasing around Mitch Green. And he says to me, how did that make you feel? How did it make me feel? How did it make me feel? Yeah, how did it make you feel? It was like getting high. It was a drug. It was adrenaline. You were a young reporter. You're running around the streets. It was great, man. I was like, yeah. It wasn't judgmental. It was just kind of yeah. And so where were we?
Did you ever think back then, mid-'90s, early 2000s, this guy would still be alive? Obviously...
No, nor did he. One of the things I asked him that day, I think he was 45. And he was newly sober and he was a vegan, whatever. Did you ever see being this age? He goes, no, I couldn't have imagined it. And one of the things about covering all those kids who, started as stick-up kids in Brownsville or East New York, and then became, kingpins, would-be kingpins, or dead kingpins, or locked up, forever and ever, is that there was a sense that it could be over at any moment. And I think he had that too. So, no, the one thing, haters like me and acolytes on the other side, and even Tyson could agree on way back, is that he was not long for the world. I think there's, there's a line in the beginning of the book, whatever your bet on his life expectancy was, it was you take the under.
Yeah.
And he was of that position as well. So I think that I had to really reconsider him. And I think, or I know, there's some virtue in just having survived. There's got to be something to that.
Sure.
But if you're going to look at, if you're going to assess a person, man or woman, by what he or she has survived, he's a tougher man than he was a fighter. I mean, look, surviving boxing in and of itself is not, he's reversed everything, because the end of one's career, especially in boxing, tends to be tragic. That's when, you're in Palookaville and you're slurring your speech or what, you're broke, all the things that happen to fighters. He's turned the third act into the great act.
Yeah.
So his career is completely anomalous like that. But again, looking at what he's survived, and I wanted to go back on this before. The drugs, the booze, the sort of fatal kind of fame, but also the death of a child. And he married Kiki around the time. This book ends in 88.
Yeah, and I want to ask you about that. Yeah.
So the death of a child, like how much more can you get your ass kicked?
Right.
And if I'm correct, he marries Kiki right after the death, and they're having a hard time, the early part of the marriage. But so I think that's the transformative section, which I probably shouldn't be saying right now because I want to keep it all to myself.
No. So I just want to ask, when you say that like you killed him as a columnist, you were negative towards him. Did you ever get word like, hey, Mike's mad at you? If Mike finds you,
I was like one of a million guys.
Okay, but so no one was telling you, because now on the internet it's almost like a smaller world, right? You do a show here, you say something, and someone's like, hey man, be careful. I get it all the time.
Most of that would happen in locker rooms.
Okay.
I mean, at that point, Mike was, like,
so there was never any
I remember the
intimidation.
Mets wanted to kick my ass one time.
Like the Mets as an organization, or one specific?
Like, I don't know. We were having a beef with the Mets. When I was young at the Post. I didn't care.
Yeah.
You know,
You were
I thought I wasn't ruthless.
Fearless?
I wasn't ruthless. I definitely wasn't fearless. And I wasn't insensitive. Like if you called me on something, I'd think about it and either say F you or wow, you're right. I remember Mark Jackson telling me one time, a lot of guys wouldn't have talked to you after what you wrote. And I thought about it. Mark Jackson happened to be right that time.
Mark Jackson on the Knicks or Mark Jackson on the Pacers?
Mark Jackson on the Knicks.
So like late 80s Jackson.
Early 90s.
Yeah, gets traded to the Clippers. Man, I love this. I love that you got to live this. I'm reading this book and I'm like, at this point, 50% in, and I'm like, wait a second. We're not going to make it to Lennox
that's
Lewis.
what happened. So
you get to 88 and Spinks, and look how thick this damn thing is. Was that always the plan?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, so they tell me like, well, you don't have to give the money back. Would you consider doing Tyson? I'm like, no, I'm not doing. There's no way. Take the money. I'm not doing Tyson. And as I was saying before, and this is, I was a little bit medicated. I was over medicated. Okay, like a hamstring really hurts. And so I'm not like entirely in my right mind. And a friend of mine says, writer, like, you can't give money back. It's like your number one duty as a writer. Like you cannot give money back. I said, watch me. There's no way I'm doing this thing. I'm not reliving that shit. And he says, what are you talking? You could like write it off the top of your head. You could do it now. I said, come on, stop. I don't do it like that. And he's a TV writer, very successful. So I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. This is. And he gave me a book about Princess Margaret. I don't give a shit about Princess Margaret, the royal family, any of this stuff. The book was so well done procedurally, the way that the writer, a guy named Craig Brown, used anecdotes to tell you who Princess Margaret was and to give a shit about Princess Margaret. So like, if I can give a shit about Princess Margaret, this guy's really good. He goes, you could do Tyson like that. So of course, like the meds are kicking in. I'm like, oh, maybe I could do it and I wouldn't have to give back the money. So I called up the publisher. I said, well, can I do it like as a kind of like essay? And it was me bullshitting. It was me cheating. Because I didn't want to commit to a real biography, which is a pain in the ass and will test you in ways that are really uncomfortable. He said, sure, whatever you want. Like I guess he didn't want to have like the hole in his books. Whatever you want. So this was supposed to be some kind of meditation on Mike Tyson and writers and fighters and boxing and newspapering. And because Tyson generates so much, sorry, my phone, so much story, it just got fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter. Maybe I just don't have the ability to write short. That's perfectly reasonable conclusion as well. So a couple years later, I'm having lunch with the editor. We had a fight in New York. We sit down, And he goes, I really like the pages. I go, yeah, okay, that's great. But, we talked about this elegant, slender book, and we were about like 80,000 words. And Tyson's like, I think 16 or 17 years old. What do you want to do with this thing? Because, and he says, can you make it 2 parts? I told him the same thing when absolutely not, no way. Because my theory of this was that everything, you had to get to the end because everything pays off. And the first chapter, I think the first chapter is somewhat incongruous now because the first chapter was from that first version of the book, which is more of an essay. The tone is a little bit different. It's a portrait of Mike in 2020 watching his daughter play tennis in Orange County, of all places. And like, you could do all the hallucinogens you want. There's no way you could have ever imagined Tyson in that place. He couldn't have imagined it. I couldn't have imagined it. No one could have imagined it. And that's where it begins. But that was sort of left over from the first conception of the book, and it became a prologue.
So you are going to do multiple volumes?
If I helped up psychiatrically, yeah.
There's
not multiple,
at least one more.
But what I had planned, I'm sorry, I lost the train of thought. I'm a little punchy at this point. But there was supposed to be a payoff for everything. So like, you see Evander, as a young man, and that's supposed to pay off. So I'm like, I can't do that. Same thing with Lennox Lewis. There's a scene, part of an extended chapter where Lennox spent like the better part of a week there sparring with Tyson. And he leaves changed, I think. I don't know if he would say that, but he had a very parallel story with Tyson. Wasn't an easy time Lewis had, but the first day of sparring, Tyson runs across the ring, tears him up. And by the, I think, third day, Lewis is hanging with him and giving as much as he gets. And I think he takes that with him. Like, I don't know, you've been in a fight, you always remember. You always remember. I know guys talk about it's just sparring, but you still remember. But Lennox remembered that. Holyfield remembered certain things. So I imagined all of this stuff would pay off. But
the reporting and journalism in a book like this, sometimes I feel like it gets overlooked. Oh, it's a book on Tyson. No, the work that you have to do to get these stories and anecdotes, it's like you're living there. It's like you're in those training camps, which I love and appreciate. And there's one anecdote, there's one story that really gave me chills. And I'll paraphrase, and maybe you could tell us a little bit more, but it's the relationship with Cus D'Amato, which has obviously been talked about. But Cus saying to him, like, hey, like, the one thing I want is for you to make me live forever.
Well, he didn't say that. That's my take.
Okay.
And it's what Tyson pushed back on in one of our discussions. My take was, Cus and the Kid was always a beautiful story, and it was created in large measure by writers who found Cus a seductive figure over the years. So, Cus was a great storyteller. Cus knew what writers wanted. He was a great psychologist. He was an egomaniac. He was an eccentric. He's everything you want in a subject, and he's incredibly articulate. But Norman Mailer, Gay Talese, like I'm reading, you know who Gay Talese is, right?
Yeah.
Great writer. But and one of his first great pieces in Esquire was about Floyd Patterson. But I'm watching Gay Talese at the Times I'm reading the clips sequentially of Gay Talese on Cus, and I'm watching him become Gay Talese. Norman Mailer, guy who was my rabbi, Pete Hamill. So Tyson actually had literary cachet before he had street cred. As far as the immortal line, I suggested to Tyson that underneath Cus saying, you're going to be the youngest and the best, was really an old man wanting to live forever. You know, like, I'll give you an example. Here's a comparison. Lennox Lewis goes to Canada from London, finds a wonderful coach named Arnie Beam, great amateur coach. Arnie Beam takes him in, helps the kid out, but there's never any discussion about you're going to be the greatest of all time. It's just you develop as a fighter. Arnie Beam had a job. Arnie Beam had a life. You know, Arnie Beam was apparently content and just to help kids out and be an amateur coach. Cuss wanted to go down in history. And he already had Floyd Patterson, but he had been, you know, he had been in exile for years up in Catskill. And this is a story in large part, you know, I always talk about the fighter's ego, but this is in large measure a story set into motion by the trainer's ego. And so unlike Arnie Beam, who just accepts Lennox Lewis, you're really talented, we're gonna go forward, and at some point you're gonna leave me, go to the Olympics, or whatever you do. From the beginning, from the time Tyson is delivered to Cus D'Amato, it's you're gonna be the greatest, you're gonna be the youngest, you're gonna be the best, you're gonna strike terror into everybody. And to me, I suggest to Tyson, you know, you're a 13-year-old kid, and what he's really telling you to me, what I'm saying is, make me, the coach, Cus D'Amato, live forever. Tyson pushes back on that. He goes, nah, you don't get it at all. I understand the debt he feels. He goes, but his answer is, well, didn't I? As long as people know my name, which is going to be forever, they'll know his. So to me, it was an existential bargain. It was a Faustian bargain. You know, Tyson may disagree with me, but I still think that Cus was asking him in some sense, make me live forever.
Considering you covered him extensively and you were in the midst of writing this book, how did you feel last November when you saw him come back in that fight against Jake on Netflix, watched by over 100 million people?
108, I think.
Yeah, insanity. How did you feel as it was all coming together, and then the aftermath?
The fight sucked. And my heart, I don't have any inside information on it, but my heart, I feel like Jake took it easy on him after a while. And Tyson came out, and I don't know if he trained that hard for it. I tend to think not. But my take is a little bit different than, what a horrible shame it was. If you can command an audience, if you can get 108 million viewers or streams or whatever the hell you call it now, that goes against everything in boxing history about being a has-been and a wash-up. Netflix needed, I don't think that Jake Paul could have done that with anyone else. Could not have done that with anyone else but Tyson at 58 years old, okay? The idea that he still commanded that much economic might and that he was getting paid goes against the history of fighters and fighting. That this guy, so far after his prime, first of all, we're still addicted to him, but also that he has that kind of muscle. And he was, to my mind, whether you like the fight or not, and by the way, the two fights on the undercard were great. And no one would have, no one would have seen the second Taylor Serrano fight if it hadn't been on something like that, and it deserved that platform. So, look, I think Jake's a hell of a promoter, really do. He works his ass off. Some things he says are probably objectionable, but he knows how to promote. But what Tyson was doing for Netflix in that moment was not unlike what he had done for HBO back in the 80s. And a full decade before HBO invented Tony Soprano or brought, Tyson was even more crucial to HBO's command over the 18 to 49-year-old male demographic. At some point, I think it's through 87, their subscription rate is growing by $5 million a month. Like today, that's like $14 million a month. That's extraordinary, and it's based on one guy. And the only person who really saw, like Seth Abraham was a brilliant broadcasting sports executive. He ran HBO Sports. But the only guy who really saw the big picture, the full picture, was Don King. And that's why he wanted to break with HBO. Because he saw that the future is not, the future is pay-per-view. Now it might be something else, but Shelley Finkel actually closes the deal for Tyson Spinks. But as he does it, he also realizes this isn't about ticket sales anymore. It's not about a long-term deal with a network. It's about pay-per-view. And now we think of everyone as a pay-per-view fighter. There are very few pay-per-view fighters. This guy was one of them. I mean, like, there are very, very few actual pay-per-view fighters. But he changed the business.
Reading in the book about the ABC days and then the HBO days and what he meant, and then I started to think about the current climate. You work for ESPN. You cover the Top Rank events so very well with the whole team there. And I said this at the top of the show, and I keep thinking about it, and I think I'm right. If we all know, it seems like the Top Rank ESPN deal is coming to an end. This has been reported. If they don't sign with the linear TV network, this could be the first time ever that boxing is not on any sort of linear TV channel in any way, shape, or form. If they sign with just a streaming platform, which is a bit of a bummer, and especially when you see how popular it is overseas and in particular in the UK.
It's a bummer, but I don't even watch, like, I watch streaming now, and like I'm an old fart.
So you don't think it matters?
What I think matters is, do people know where to find the fights and are the fights good? You can't have a steady diet of A side, B side where you know what's going to happen. Every fight is supposed to tell a story. Now, some stories are complete novelties. Tyson McNeely, for example, was a novelty, and the novelty was so intense, and the heat it generated was so intense with Tyson coming out of prison that you were going to tune in, and it was worth. Tyson makes $30 million. A lot of that is king, but a lot of that is the quality of the novelty. But you knew it wasn't like McNeely was going to win. I find the big problem in boxing is where is it, when is it on, but also who's fighting. If I know who's going to win, what the hell am I? If someone is that much of a prohibitive favorite, what the hell am I watching for? Yes, there were upsets. We saw one last week. And by the way, I didn't think Caleb Plant. This is another thing in boxing. I'm getting off. Like, what's everyone killing Caleb Plant for? He lost. It wasn't like he dogged it. He lost.
I think what they're killing him for is that there was a big money fight there.
So what?
But how many times boxing keeps doing this to itself? We just saw it Times Square with Haney and Garcia. Just make the fight.
Boxing, but I mean. But that's not Caleb Plant's
Sure.
fault.
He's just the latest example.
What about Charlo, who held that middleweight belt for like an eternity? But and that's not even on him. The WBC let him like hold on to that belt without anything going on. But that's why you're having the grumblings or whatever however you want to characterize it. I'm sorry, I got off track.
No. I just because it was a big deal for Top Rank to get back on ESPN.
It was a big deal.
Yeah, and I thought
I'm heartbroken.
Yeah. How are you handling that?
It was the best job I ever had.
Really?
Yeah. I loved it.
Why?
I love boxing. I wanted to do boxing for the longest time, and I got to do it. And then, I was, I don't know what I was as a color guy, and I certainly needed more seasoning. But we had a producer come in 2019 named Mike McQuaid, who was pretty tough, but essentially he recast me as an essayist and an interviewer, and it was extraordinary.
Great.
And for a TV guy, without meaning to, I learned so much about writing again. And it was hard to go back to this because when you do something like this, you have to take custody of incalculable number of words. But when you're writing for TV, you want to shrink wrap everything. And it's not even like writing in complete sentences. It's almost like ad copy. You're writing in symbols, so that one word has to signify like what a whole chapter would here. But it was exhilarating, and then I got to do like some stories that I just loved. I loved going to Belfast to talk to Michael Conlon. I loved Tiafimo. I know Tiafimo gets crazy, but I loved covering Tiafimo and his dad. Like I heard his dad's voice in the park, like on 26th Street, my whole life. A voice like that.
Yeah.
It was something I understood.
I was so jealous of you guys, by the way, because on the UFC side of things, the promotion controls the production.
Right.
So your role doesn't exist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to work for the promoter. I've always felt very strongly about that. You work for ESPN.
I work for ESPN.
Not Top Rank. That's a big difference.
It is a big difference, but I don't think what I did also is as much as I invaded like the fighters' intimate places or what, like it also helped sell the fight.
Oh, 100%.
And
but there's some freedom that comes with that journalistically, which I was envious of because it's an amazing thing to be able to be on the broadcast and not work for the promoter.
It's almost, but it's, I mean, look, it went to the promoter's interest because it sold the fight. I mean, I remember.
I'm not saying that you're trying to knock them, but
no, I understand that, but I mean, in another sport it might not have been kosher. In this sport, it was because almost inevitably, what makes someone a fighter, or what leads to someone being a fighter, is somewhere along the line there's an emotional dislocation, dysfunction, and it's profound. And this is Tyson, maybe exhibit 1A, of why that person is in that ring fighting. And it's fascinating. The psychiatry of the sport is endlessly fascinating, to me at least.
Do you have any idea?
I got to go there,
and did so brilliantly. Do you have any idea if Mike or Kiki or anyone close to him has read the book?
They've had it for a while.
Okay. Any feedback?
Directly, no.
Okay. Good sign, bad sign?
No,
I think you're very fair. I mean, this is a brilliant portrayal.
I think I was fair. I mean, I think if there were objections, I would have heard, real objections, I would have heard already.
Where's Robin Givens these days?
Do not know L.A., I guess.
Did
She's
you
working?
Any contact with her?
No.
Okay.
And I in the part of the book that I'm dealing with her, 1988, I wanted to stick to what she said when.
Yeah.
Because it changed a lot. And whatever, was she pregnant? Was she not pregnant? I wanted, in many respects, I went back through the record of the time. I went through a lot of newspaper clippings.
Yeah. Oh my God. I didn't know she dated Michael Jordan.
You didn't?
I didn't know. I guess I missed that. I was too young. Learned that from you. I mean, it was just a throwaway line, but I was like, what? I had to reread it 3 times. I was like, the same Michael Jordan?
The guy from the, what was the first, hip hop?
Bobby
Sugar
Brown?
Hill Gang.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like Master G, Master somebody, I don't know.
Him too?
I think I'm not sure, but
Yeah. It's a brilliant time capsule into such a period that I was a little too young to live. I was born in 82, but I can't even imagine what it was like, especially I was talking to a mutual friend of ours, Aaron Cohen, yesterday. He's kind of like my mentor.
Right.
He's my guy, and he knows you well.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about those halcyon days.
All those great HBO
the man, Bob Costas.
Yeah.
Just about those days in New York, where the newspapers were king, where the executives were reading what you guys were writing. They were taking their cues from you.
Well, I mean, look, I remember sitting at the bar, like at the Lion's Head or wherever it was, McGuire's, and like we'd all be sitting, guys from the Post, the News,
smoking cigarettes. Love it.
It was terrible. And the bundles being dropped outside at the newsstands. You go and like tear out the bundle, rip out a couple papers, and see like who got scooped, who wrote better, who
amazing.
wrote.
This is like 3 a.m. or something.
No, the early edition would come up like by 11.
Okay. Wow. And you
Post would come up first.
You're all sitting there comparing,
and you see who was,
because there's no Twitter back then.
Who had the goods and who didn't. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was visceral, and you didn't get to like change it. Although I was so neurotic. After I'd file a column, like I'd get like a stack of quarters. I kid you not. And go to the payphone in the back of the bar, like, hey, where I said the last paragraph? Like, could you change it? And, like the guy on the desk is like, come on, Mark, stop this shit. But that's how nuts I. Could you move the quote like in the second graph? Could you move it lower and change it to? See you later.
Well, you're a legend. Congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
Another great one. Baddest Man, The Making of Mike Tyson, by the one and only Mark Kriegel. You have a bunch of appearances coming up. I think you're doing something in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn with Rosie Perez, who, by the way, is an interesting thing in this. For the most part, and it's curious that Robin came up, but for the most part, the people who were most insightful on Mike were women. Like Rosie has like a sort of bit part in the book, but it breaks your heart. And like I hunted her down because I just had my gut was, I know she has something to say and it's going to be important. There were 2 anecdotes. One I'm saving for the second volume, but the first was, she went through a lot of stuff. Do we got to get off?
No, it's all right.
She went through a lot of stuff as a kid, and she's another person to be like greatly admired. I just had and I hunted her down. I was like, come on, I'm sure I was a huge pain in the ass. But she tells this story about, early on, Mike hits on her, says something, typically lewd. And she shuts his ass down, and he just kind of slinks off instead of being ferocious Mike. And one of the things that Mike rarely, if ever, heard was no. So she shuts him down, and I'm like, well, how did you know? And she says, that phrase, a game knows game. Oh, she says, damage knows damage. And it was heartbreaking. But she knew, and she did have really great insight into him. And she knew at some level, she knew who he was apart from all the bullshit. And they became great friends.
You're the man, Mark. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate you stopping by. Good luck with everything. I have a whole hour's worth more of questions, but we'll save that for our volume 2.
What time we got?
We got Derrick Lewis coming
I'll come
up.
back.
You come anytime. We'll
right.
take a quick break, say goodbye to Mark. We'll be back with the Black Beast. Don't go anywhere.
Ariel Helwani in Newark, New Jersey, getting set for UFC 128 alongside John Bones Jones, who faces the UFC light heavyweight champion Mauricio Shogun Rua, the California Kid, Uriah Faber, Brendan Schaub, UFC President Dana White, Eddie Wineland, Damian Maia, Dan Miller, Nate Marquardt. I saw the Countdown show. He called you a rookie, and you didn't seem to like that very much. Why?
I don't know. It's weird. Man, this rookie just beat the guy who made his name off kicking you in the head and knocking you out. So I have the utmost respect for Crow Cop, but man, compared to him, I am a rookie, but this is a tough rookie, man. So he's going to have his hands full Saturday night.
Finally, we've heard that he signs autographs. He says Champ 2011, and we saw him at the press conference yesterday, very confident, very relaxed. What do you make of his demeanor? Do you think that maybe he's overlooking you? Do you think that he's a little too cocky? What's your take on that?
Well, I think his demeanor is ridiculous, actually, because you cannot really go signing as a champion without being the champion. I think that's disrespectful. But each and everyone has their own personality, so everybody has to walk the walk and talk the talk. He has to back up the talk. So this whole thing is really getting annoying. I mean, this guy has been fighting and winning and beating top opponents for about 7 years already. I mean, what else does he has to do to prove that he is worth? Jon Jones is a very talented fighter. I think he is really, really a guy with a bright future ahead, but nobody's gonna walk through Shogun. I mean, look at what his guy has done. You know, there's no way this is gonna happen against anyone. And if someone has the tools and has unpredictability and it's proven, it's Shogun.
We talked to Shogun about the press conference and some other stuff, and he called your demeanor and your behavior ridiculous, and he was very upset, and he thought that you were a little too confident, a little too cocky, playing to the crowd. He didn't like all that stuff. What do you make of that?
I have no clue what he's talking about. I don't think I did anything that was disrespectful. I don't think I said anything that was disrespectful. And I mean, I find some of the things that he says about me actually disrespectful. Between his brother making comments about how I have no punching power, how his manager says that he was going to kick my ASS. What else?
See the countdown show?
How I have chicken legs and how he's going to kick them repeatedly. So, you know, it's okay with me. If I'm in his head, that's even better.
Not one Rashad Evans question. Are you impressed?
Thank you.
205 for the challenger!
Post-fight at UFC 128 alongside Louis Kane, who defeated Elliot Marshall tonight in the very first round. Edson Barbosa, who defeated Anthony Njokuani tonight via decision. Joseph Joby Juan Kenobi Benavidez, who defeated Ian Loveland tonight. Mike Pyle, who defeated Ricardo Almeida tonight via decision. Eric Koch, who knocked out Rafael Sunsao tonight in the very first round in his very first UFC fight. Nate Marquardt, who defeated Dan Miller tonight.
I'm always scared to interview with you.
Why?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I have to think you're pretty happy with your performance, right?
Man, I'm so happy. I was missing that feeling, that winning. It's like I'm winning my first fight in my career. I feel that my career is beginning today.
You know, the other pressure that got to me is just having to carry all the sexiness on my shoulders that Sexyama dropped out. You know, I thought we were gonna share it, kind of share all the sexiness, but it was all left on my shoulders, and yeah, that was some pressure.
And I gotta ask this question. I've been watching you for a couple of years. You know, you're fairly your skin color is fairly pale, and then I see you at the weigh-ins. I'm like, he's in Jersey. He's got a tan. Clearly, was this your paying homage to the Jersey tan? Is that what you're doing here?
You know, that kind of just fell into place, man. That I was getting a tan even for the Cub fight. I was doing it just because I was so white, and I like wearing white shorts. And in my fight with Francisco, everybody's like, dude, good job, but those white shorts on a white guy, like, you look like a ghost on TV. Like, you're blurry. We can't tell. We can't see you. So I'm like, forget this. I got a guy that, at the Rufus Sport Gym.
All right, back on the program. That was tremendous stuff with Mark Kriegel. I highly recommend the book. In the midst of all of that, while we're reminiscing about the glory days of New York sports, I get the word here that my beloved New York Knicks have fired Tom Thibodeau. Golly, I have many things to say about this. This is wild, but not completely unexpected. We'll save those thoughts because in a matter of seconds, we're going to be joined by a man that I've been chasing for the better part of 3 years, 3.5 years to be exact. The last time I spoke to this man was January of 2022. January of 2022. And the amount of times that I've asked his great manager, Lou, for him to come on the program, I've lost count. In fact, I think he's changed his number 6 times just since that interview. And so I had no chance of connecting with him. But I do believe the MMA gods are smiling down upon us because I do believe that he is here. Is he actually here? Is the Black Beast there? I don't believe my eyes. Derrick Lewis is back on the program. 3.5 years. Man? Where have you been?
Shit, I've been here. Said y'all don't pay the interview, so I'm not doing no more interviews. I already told you that. You want to pay everybody else to do interviews with you, but you ain't gonna pay me.
I don't
ain't
pay
nothing
anyone.
to talk about.
I still love you though. In fact, over my left shoulder here, we have your guy right here. I still have you here on the studio as I drop everything. Look at that right there. I still represent the Black Beast, even though you don't.
Nah, I used to be in the front row.
Nah, you're still here somewhere. I got the toy somewhere else. But you're the freaking man, Derrick. I miss you. By the way, are you a 205er or what? I mean, I don't know if it's been a little, but you look so svelte.
Nah, it's just because of the color shirt I got on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I miss you. How are you doing?
What's up, man? What's up?
What's up? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Where have you been for the last 3.5 years?
Sure, I've been around.
Well, it's great to have you back. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah. So what's up? What you want to talk about?
I just want to talk about life, how much we've missed you. It's good that you're coming back in July. Another main event. It's an amazing thing. We jotted down some stats here, which just speaks to, how great you are. I believe as of right now, this will be your 30th UFC fight. It will be your 13th main event. Most finishes in UFC history. Most TKO/KO finishes in UFC history in all divisions. The second most wins in UFC history. I mean, you're a proper Hall of Famer.
Yeah, that's good. They need to pay me like one.
So I saw an interview that you did recently with MMA Junkie. You said you had to damn near beg to get this fight. Why?
It's just because a lot of guys didn't want to fight. Then the guys that did want to fight, they already had fights booked. And it's other stuff that's behind it. It's politics, man. It's also part of it's scripted. It's part of the script.
What do you mean the script? What are you talking about?
Yeah, the whole UFC is scripted.
What does that mean? What are you talking?
It's part of the plan. So in July 12th, they want me to win first round knockout.
So that's what's going to happen?
Part of the script. Yeah, it's part of the script. So whoever want to make that bet, go ahead and make that bet.
Well, I got to tell you, the script writers assigned to the heavyweight division right now aren't doing a great job because it's not very compelling. It's very boring.
Well, that's their fault. They didn't want to give me no fight soon, so it's their fault.
Who did you want to fight?
It didn't matter who. The one guy, that Dominican dude that say he's not black, he's Dominican.
Who's that, Waldo Cortez?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to be. I want to fight him. It would have been good to fight him in March, whenever they were looking for a main event. Then.
Wow,
I wanted to fight him then.
You've been ready for that many months. Like this will be 4 months in between.
Man, I've been training for 4 months straight.
Okay.
So I'm ready. I'm ready.
Can I ask, what do you make of this whole John Jones, Tom Aspinall saga?
Oh, I don't know what's been going on. You tell me. What happened?
Well, he last fought in November. John did. Tom is the interim champion. He's now the longest reigning interim champion. And he's like hinting that he's going to retire. He doesn't want the fight. Tom is trying to get him to fight. UFC's not making an announcement. We're going on and on and on and on. The guy just wants to fight. Tom's going to go a year between fights now. He last fought. It took 60 seconds for him to beat Curtis Blades. And I think what the general consensus is, defend or vacate. Meaning, John, are you going to fight? If not, stop holding up Tom's career and the rest of the division. There's other people out there who need to live their dreams, right?
I guess so. But you wanted to talk about me, or you want to talk about John and the other dude?
No. This is the first question actually about John or the other dude. In fairness,
no, I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn what they got going on.
All right, but you're a fixture in the division, so you're affected by all of this, and you're talking about not getting a fight. You're not. I mean, John holding it up. There's a trickle down effect, is there not? Isn't there like a trickle down effect?
No, it's not freaking. No, I'm in the top 10.
Okay.
I'm barely in the top 10. They way down there. I'm nobody right now. So I'm not worrying about them.
If
that's what they want to do, then let them do that.
Okay, fair enough.
I could continue fighting these Texas fighters. The newcomers want to come in and get their name. I like fighting guys like that right now. So keep them coming.
Like the Teixeiras of the world, the guy you're fighting in July.
Yeah, yeah.
You know him?
Mm-hmm. No, I don't know him. I know he's tall. That's all I know about him.
Did you see his last fight?
No.
He got a big win.
That's good.
All right. Will you watch anything?
No, I didn't watch nothing yet, but I'll go back and probably go ahead and study this fight probably in 2 weeks or something like that. But not right now.
Do you still love fighting? Do you love preparing for a fight, the training camp, the whole process?
Yeah, now shit, I love fighting right now. You know, I'm happy to be fighting. Thank God for that. You know, because you know, a little here and there, it almost couldn't happen no more. But I'm happy to still be here.
Yeah, you just turned 40 in February, right?
Yeah, that's what they said.
Happy birthday! Congrats. Did you think that you'd still be fighting come 40?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
What do you
Like
think?
10
you
years
could do?
ago, 10 years ago, I said I wouldn't be fighting whenever I'm 40. But whenever they hit me with that contract, I said, shit, I can fight when I'm 50 now. Shit,
Oh,
go
wow.
ahead, let's go.
That was a couple of years ago. You were at the end of your deal, and some people thought that maybe you'd go and fight Francis in the PFL.
Mm-hmm.
Did that ever? Because then you just signed a couple of days later, so it didn't seem like you ever really entertained that.
We did entertain it, but it was the UFC just made a better offer.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's all it was, yeah.
You were just going to the highest bidder, though. You just wanted to get paid.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
And plus, I like UFC. You know, everything about them is professional. You know, even me. You know, I'm always professional.
They treat you well, still.
Yeah, they treat me pretty good. You know, I got my PR lady, Nobi. Yeah, she's one of the best in the business. She always makes sure everything get taken care of. You know, you gotta go through her before you get to me.
Okay, maybe that was the problem.
Yeah, you going through the wrong people.
I was going through Lou, my guy.
Lou. Nah, Lou, man, he need to get on his game also, man. Since he wanted to book this interview, tell me, oh man, you got to do it. Since he want to do all that, I'm gonna let you know to tell him that he need to get on his game. You know, I should be having some sponsors or something.
No, I mean, maybe if you were on the show and got out there more, your visibility, more people would want to be in business and sponsor you.
Nah, it's a lot going on right now in the world. You know, no, I'm not gonna say that. But
okay, what were you gonna say? What were you gonna say?
No, I'm not saying. I'm not saying. You watching everything what's going on in the world right now?
Yeah, which part of the world? There's a lot of things going on.
Where you from?
Well, I'm originally from Canada.
I thought you were Jewish.
Oh yeah, okay. Maybe that's what you're. I am Jewish, but I'm not from Israel. If that's what you're referring to.
Oh, okay.
My mom's from Lebanon and my dad's from Egypt. But are you referring to the conflict in Israel/Gaza?
Oh no, that's not what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Well,
don't worry about it.
I mean, we can talk about that too if you want. I'm happy to talk about it.
No. Yeah, it's just sad what's going on over there. That's all.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's just sad.
It is
a lot of innocent people getting hurt on both sides.
Amen. No one wants that. Wow, this really took a dark turn here.
It's not. You know, shit. You ain't talking about nothing.
You're a worldly guy. You know, I was thinking about you.
My DoorDash order, I'm about to pull up right now.
No. Please. What'd you order?
Some Chinese food.
Okay.
Some spicy.
I was thinking about you a couple months ago, and I'm so happy we're talking when George Foreman passed away, because you used to have a relationship with him, right? I mean, didn't he kind of want to take you down the boxing path?
Yes.
Did you? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. Did you keep in touch with him in his later years?
No, I didn't. I didn't keep in touch. And so happened, that's what's crazy is I ended up moving right around the corner from him, like less than a mile away. He was my neighbor for the last 3 or 4 years, and I didn't even know it.
Wow. This is in the gated community that you live in now.
It's not even a gated community. I live on a compound.
I heard you have like a very bougie lifestyle now. That's what I was told.
He lives on a compound also. I think I have 20 acres. I think he lives on 10 acres.
You have 20 acres now?
Yeah.
What a success story. This is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah, I appreciate UFC for it. Thank y'all.
With George, when he first met you and was trying to guide you in the fight game, did you know that this was like Big George Foreman? Like, were you aware of who he was and what he had done?
Yeah, I knew George. Shit. Everybody knew George. Shit. I was, I like to eat, so I was looking up the George Foreman grills back then.
Sure. That's how you knew of him.
That's how, yeah. I studied up on him from that.
How close
and
were
watched the TV shows.
How close were you to just being a boxer as opposed to an MMA fighter?
Shit, it was really all about the work that I felt like I really didn't have to train that hard to be an MMA fighter. Shit, boxing, them boys be getting up early, running all day. I just felt like I'd get a lot tired. I can't hold and all that in boxing like I can in MMA. So that's the reason why I pick MMA over boxing, because I can hold and I can lay on the ground for a little bit, catch my breath, then get back at it. But in boxing, you can't do none of that.
Right.
So that's the reason why I stuck with MMA more.
But the rounds are longer in MMA. Your cardio, I think, has to be a little bit better.
No, not necessarily. Not if you want to just take a guy down, let the guy take you down. You can just go ahead and chill for a little bit.
Right.
Then get up. Yeah.
Do you think you'll ever go down boxing path, or do you think you'll finish your career as an MMA fighter?
I'm a finished career MMA fighter, unless they want to try to pay me some good money. Like what they saying now, fuck you money. If they want to do that, then yeah, I'll do boxing. But other than that, no, I'm not with all that.
What happened?
I'll do I'll try the slap, whatever.
Yeah.
What's it called? Slap?
Yeah.
That's the name of it?
Slap fighting.
Yeah, I would do that. I would have to go first every time, though.
That's crazy.
If I don't knock my guy out, I'm going to go ahead and forfeit. That's the way it's going to go.
I think you would be very
I got to
successful.
go first. I'm letting them know I got to go first.
Okay.
I'm not about to sit there and let nobody slap me.
You're the A side.
I'm gonna keep jumping anyways. I'm gonna get penalized. I can't do it.
Can I ask you what happened back in November when you were supposed to fight?
I had caught my period that same day.
What are you
cramping? I was very moody. My period started, and I didn't want to go out there and fight like that. So I had cramps, bleeding everywhere. I didn't bring no extra pads, and so I didn't.
What are you talking about? I heard you tell this story already. This can't be true.
Yeah. Okay. You want to see pictures?
No, I don't.
Okay then. Believe what I'm saying.
You were
So
sick.
That's what happened. No.
Well, I mean, you weren't feeling well.
My monthly thing.
Okay.
So if I want to identify as a woman, you gotta go with it.
Sure.
I know Trump in office right now, that he don't allow that no more. But if I'm saying that I want to identify as a woman at that time period, that's what I wanted to do.
Okay. Do you still identify as a woman?
Nah, not no more. Not no more.
Okay.
Trump in office. Nah, I can't do that. I can't say that no more. No, I'm not a woman anymore.
Are you happy about that? Are you happy that he's back?
Of course.
I don't know how much.
I make too much damn money now.
Sure.
Goddamn right I'm at.
What does that have to do with him, though?
Nah, man. See, that's what I'm saying. That's why I didn't want to talk to you, man. Don't worry about what's going on, man. Let the man work.
Okay.
Let me say what I want to say. That's it.
I'm stressing right now, Derrick. You know why? Because I feel like it took me 3.5 years to get you back, and I feel like I'm losing you again.
Well, you need to open that box of meat and put me in the front.
Which one? Which one?
Be always.
This one?
Yeah, open it. Somebody not even be in there.
Fucking hell.
Somebody probably stole it.
It's not here.
I knew it. I don't
know where it is.
Man.
Where is this guy?
Dang, you lying.
Where is he? Someone stole it. You know what?
That's why nobody like you, man.
Why? What does that have to do with me? I didn't steal it.
Where I'm at? Like where I'm at?
It's a great question. I can't find you.
Yeah, you threw that shit across the way since I ain't want to return none of your calls.
Did they pay you, these guys?
right.
MMA bobblehead?
Yeah, they pay. Yeah, they pay me.
By the way, I saw your
Yeah.
store on Etsy. Shout out to the store. You've got great merch.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Look at this. Look at this plug right here. Everyone should go check it out. Look at us hooking you up.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Are you doing things outside of fighting in terms of business?
Yeah, I'm at the office right now.
What are you doing?
You know,
What's the business?
car wash. You call the wash.
Oh, wow.
Spa.
Detailing?
Detailing, ceramic rack, washing in this half car right now also.
Oh, wow. You own this?
Yes. I'm co-owner.
And how many locations?
2.
Amazing. Was this a dream of yours to own a business like this?
Well, it was a bit a dream of mine to own a business, period. You know, I'm 40 now, man. I gotta, you know, I like the lifestyle that I live right now. You know, I know I have to be smart with it. So that's all. You know, I want to continue living my lifestyle that I live like after fighting also.
Does your wife still own the salon?
Yes, she still has it on that. She's doing real estate also. So we're buying properties, and all the properties that I'm buying is really coming back to the house because she get a big percentage.
Wow. What a success story. Like 15, 20 years ago, you could have never dreamed of this.
Yeah, for sure. You know, be around the right people, man. That's all. Just be around the right type of people. You know, you Jewish, man. You know that.
Yeah, for sure. No, for sure. You have any Jewish people in your life?
No, I guess I need you back in my life, man.
That's right. Well, you
talk to you about a business plan.
But you seem to
I
be doing
need
well.
this land, and also it's this land that I want to buy, man. They, you know, it's some Nigerians. They don't want to get up off it, so I need a Jewish guy to go over there and talk to him.
Okay. I could be that guy for you.
And also, you know, if somebody here illegally, and they own property or whatever, how does that go? You know, can I like try to fight and take that from them since they're here illegally?
Is this are you trying? Is this a metaphor that you're trying to present to me?
I'm just saying, same thing you be doing me.
What do you mean I'd be doing with you?
Same type of question you asked me. So I want you to explain that to me.
If someone is in America illegally and they own property,
can
you take the property from them?
Yeah, or they have a business.
Well,
you know, but they're here illegally, but they have a business.
But why would you be the guy who would be allowed to take it from them? Like you don't own it, just like technically they don't own it, I guess.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. So if I want what they have, can I take that from them? But since they're here illegally.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. That's all I was wondering, you know.
Is there a business or property that you want?
No, it's a name. It's a name that I want, but they have it. But I know they're here illegally.
What's the name?
No, I'm not gonna tell you.
What kind of business?
No, I can't even say that.
Why? What are you so afraid of?
See, if I say it, everybody gonna know what business it is.
No, just the type of business, not like the specific business.
The type of business it is, I guess you could say, the people that's in there, they sweat. Everybody in there sweat.
Everyone in there sweats like a gym.
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay. Why don't you just open your own business?
No, because they have their name. I like their name.
Oh, I got it. Okay. All right, that's a doozy.
But yeah, so that's what it is.
And how do you know that they're here illegally?
Because I knew that.
But how?
I was aiding and abetting. No, I'm joking. No, I wasn't. I just knew they was here illegally. That's all. Because they got deported a couple of times and came back.
Okay,
That's all.
wow, jeez.
See, I'm getting myself in trouble now, man.
No, I was just trying to help you out. You said you
That's
needed
why I don't
to
do it no more interviews.
No, that's not true.
I speak my mind. Yeah, it is.
I think it's better when you're doing interviews because we get to see it's like a window into your thought process, into your soul, and you're one of the more interesting people in the sport.
Nah, man. I would like to do like what they call Twitch.
Oh yeah.
I would like to start that up, but I don't know how to do it.
Man, Rampage is doing a lot of stuff over there. He's like doing like streaming for hours and hours.
Yeah, I just can't do that. That part of it, I can't do it hours and hours. Unless they pay good, I don't know how much they pay.
Sure, I think some of the DJs doing a lot of stuff on YouTube. There's a lot of fighters doing stuff now. But I feel like you want to be left alone.
There's certain people I don't like talking to. That's all.
I know. Yeah. Who are those people, by the way? No, I'm just kidding. Don't answer that. That's a trick question.
It's all right. You already know nobody likes you, so you all right.
Why? Why are you being so
Where
mean?
you at now? I'm not being mean. I'm just being real.
You're saying nobody
where you
likes
at
me.
Now?
Where am I at? I'm in New York
Where
City.
you at?
This is my studio.
I know. What show? What platform you on?
Oh,
You're not on ESPN anymore.
Hell no. You love bringing that up. I'm long gone from them. I own my stuff now. I'm my own boss.
Oh, so where people watch your show at? On Facebook?
No, on YouTube, on X, formerly known as Twitter. It's the Ariel Helwani Show, 3 days a week. We got the boys in the back on Thursday, the crack on Friday. Uncrowned, you've heard of this, right? Uncrowned, it's the hottest thing going in combat media. We've partnered with Yahoo Sports. We partnered with Yahoo Sports. We've licensed the business to them for 3 years. It's doing pretty well. We'll cover boxing, we cover wrestling, we cover MMA. We've been doing a lot since we last spoke.
Oh, so you're not even on cable TV, man? You're on some bullshit.
Nah,
man.
no one's on cable.
The UFC.
The UFC is hardly even on cable TV these days.
Ain't definitely wasting my time.
Stop.
Nobody ain't gonna watch this shit. You wasting my time.
You were only friends with me because
How many followers you got? How many people tuned into this?
thousands.
Okay, 2,000. All right.
Yeah, that's not bad, right?
I guess that's a waste of time, man.
It's a waste of time, really. You regret
nobody watching. Nobody watching you, man.
You regret this?
Like I said, it's a waste of time. My DoorDash order, the lady said that one of my orders,
one of your orders,
she had to substitute, so I can't even respond because I'm on his damn video.
Why so much animosity? I thought that this would be like a warm, fuzzy. So you remember you did the show. You did the show at in Las Vegas, the trivia show. We had a great time.
Yeah, look how he did me. Where's my bobblehead? Where's my mannequin dude?
That is a good
Where is it?
I really would love to know myself. It's a great question. I mean, I had the picture. I thought that was enough.
Come on, man.
I thought it was enough. Look at this. Look at the love that I've shown you. Even though you haven't been on the show for 3+ years, I still put you front and center.
No, I was in the back in the corner over some, what is that? Some bullshit jersey you had on over my head, covering me up.
Oh my gosh.
And somebody stole from a Jewish man? What?
Yeah, that's
you
weird.
Let somebody steal from you?
Isn't that crazy?
Times has changed.
They have changed. Maybe we're not as we seem. So this fight's coming up in Nashville. You've got the hat going. You've got the shoes ready. You're gonna get down. I saw you there.
My feet was hurting like a motherfucker too, man. My feet were tore up.
Yo, you're so slim.
Yeah. Oh, she's still, hold on, I'm in trouble finding out.
The DoorDash?
Yeah.
You want to go get it?
No, it's all right. It was some like a Diet Coke or something like that. She wanted to do a substitute.
Oh wow. Well, your last fight was in May. You're probably itching to get back in there.
Yeah. I'm very happy to get back in there. You know, God say the same. Everything goes good. You know, my health and everything else. I don't start nothing try to pop up on me that week. Yeah, I'm happy with it.
And you're saying first round knockout. You've seen the script.
That's the script. Yes.
Okay.
That's the plan.
And then you win that knockout, you get a title shot.
Nah, I ain't trying to no title shot. Hell no. I want to just continue fighting like taxi cab drivers right now.
Okay.
Then we can start talking about title shots.
So what year? Like how old do you want to be?
I don't know. We'll just see. I don't know. Let's see how active they try to keep me.
How many fights left on the contract?
I think it's 6.
Oh wow! All right.
6 or 7. 6 or 7.
You're not going anywhere.
Yeah. So what you got going on besides this?
Well, I'm doing.
You get paid doing this? Or you get paid?
Yeah, we're doing pretty well. We're doing pretty well.
So how much you get paid? Since you asking me all these questions, how much you get paid?
Well, to be clear, I didn't ask you how much you were getting paid. I said how many fights left.
Okay.
So I'll tell you how many years left.
I want to get deeper with you. So
3 years.
How your contract going right now? You got it. You signed a contract to do this?
2 years plus left. It expires in 2027.
Oh, okay. Then what you gonna do?
I think I want to keep it going. I'm very happy. I'm very content. It's been a great partnership. I'm not worried about talking about these things. You think you're turning the tables on me, but this is just, this is just life.
But yeah, no, it's not like. So what do you got going on besides talking about bullshit all day? What other business ventures you got going on?
I wish I was like
outside of
you. I don't have any other business ventures. I need to be like you. You're inspiring me right now. I don't have a car wash or something like that.
How old are you?
I am 42.
42?
Hell yeah.
God damn.
I'm old, huh?
Man, you're 2 years older than me.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm behind you.
Yeah.
Do you think I'm doing well, or do you think I need to reevaluate?
Man, you need to look yourself in the mirror and see if you want to still do this.
No, I think I do. I've had to eat a lot of shit sandwiches, Derek, and I'm still here. Stronger than ever.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that.
See that? I've been working out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The left hook. Not the best spot for it, but they call it the Helwani left.
Okay.
Well, I think this has been a lot of fun. Did you have any other questions?
No, you need to find my bobblehead.
Yeah, that's
I actually could do.
I have Kimbo here. I have DC. I have DJ, Jorge, Randy, Nick. It is weird, but I'm going to get to the bottom of this, and I'm going to text you if you could just tell me what your new number is, because I think you changed your number.
Yeah, I know. You're not fortunate enough to get my number, but so don't even worry about that.
Why you change your number so much?
Because don't worry about all of that, man. You know it's it.
In my on my phone, it's like 9 numbers for Derrick Lewis. I keep them all just for
Yeah, and all
nostalgia.
my close friends got the same thing. They even marked it down to the year.
Oh, really?
And a month. Yeah, year and month.
And you probably, since the last time we spoke, you probably have like 3 or 4 new numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you want to share, we can keep in touch.
It's usually a new year, new me type
Okay.
of thing. You know, when everybody come up with evaluation, my circle comes up. I give everybody an evaluation secretly. They don't know that though, but secretly I give them an evaluation. If somebody I feel like that I gave my number to, they really ain't keeping it real or whatever,
You cut them
I
out.
just get. Yeah, I cut them out.
Okay, so I was cut out a long time ago,
I
apparently.
like, yeah, for sure. I like people that's like fun to be around. You know.
Well, we never really hung out on.
Have good energy.
We've
You know, don't try to do shady stuff behind people's back, talk crap about people. Don't come to me gossiping about anybody. I don't care.
Right.
I don't care if I don't even know them. I don't hear nothing about no gossip. So I feel like if you're doing that to them, you'll do it to me. So I don't want to hear it.
We call it Lashon Hara, like bad mouthing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But, you know, that's how I am. I like to drink. I like to do other kind of stuff out there. So, you know, I just like to hang with people that like to do the same thing.
Yeah. What kind of drinking? Like what kind of alcohol?
Oh, just wine, just like a lot of wine tasting stuff like that. Just only the finest.
Red or white?
It all depends on how I feel. All depends. All depends on what type of restaurant I'm at, also.
Pinot
I
Noir
like
or
to go-
Pinot Grigio?
Both actually.
Okay.
Yeah. And I go to Steak 48, Mastro's. They already know just to keep a bottle ready
Yeah.
as soon as I get there. Yeah.
Those are places in Houston?
Hmm.
Okay. Well, maybe one day we could go together.
No, we can't.
Oh. I'm not invited?
Hell no.
I was told that I was invited to the cookout. That's what people told me.
No. Okay, let's see. Let's see what type of shoes you got on right now.
I got my Action Bronsons. You see them right here? The Bam Bam Baklavas. No, go to this one. You see them right here? These are nice. New Balance. My guy Bam Bam Baklava. Action Bronson.
Ah, man, you fell off.
I fell off?
Yeah, man. You used to have on.
Fresh Nikes? SBs?
Yep.
Well, that's when we were friends. My life has been a mess.
You still married?
Yeah. You?
Oh yeah, I understand. Yeah. My life a mess too.
How many kids now?
No, we good. We got 3.
3 kids?
Yeah.
Any of them want to be fighters?
No. They want to be basketball, soccer,
I love it.
football.
They have a chance?
Yeah, they have a chance.
They're great athletes like their papa.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good athletes.
Okay. How old's the oldest?
21.
Wow, 21. Holy crap. I remember you used to tell me that you used to play video games and one was like cutting your hair.
Yeah. That one right there just turned 12.
Wow. They still do that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, now they kicking me and kicking my butt in Minecraft. We be playing Minecraft a lot.
Yeah.
They be kicking my butt in that. They be doing better than me.
Roblox?
And Roblox also.
Yeah. Fortnite?
Of course, they just want me to play Roblox with them so I can keep buying them damn
Yeah.
Roblox bucks or whatever they call.
Yeah, Robux. Who keeps
Robux.
texting you?
DoorDash.
Still?
No, they just brought my food out. She was just saying thank you for the tip and all that.
Okay. What'd you get?
Chinese food.
Man. Kung Pao chicken?
General TSO. TSO.
General Tao?
Tao, yeah.
That's good stuff. I love that.
Some dumplings.
Oh, wow.
And some vegetable spring rolls.
Just for you?
Yeah.
What else?
I haven't ate today.
Okay.
There's some other stuff that I ain't gonna tell you because they're gonna be, oh man, you eating bad.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to out yourself. By the way, any trolls coming to the gym?
I don't know. I wish.
You
I
beat
haven't
them up.
sparred in a while. I haven't sparred in a while.
Well, I have to say, it's wonderful to see you. I don't want your food to get cold. That's how thoughtful I am.
Appreciate you.
And will you come back soon? Maybe after the fight?
No, man, it all depends. It all depends how this the politics goes.
What do you mean?
You gotta keep track of the politics.
Which politics?
It's all also depends on how the script goes.
Okay.
No, I'm scripted not to like you.
Okay. Right now we're beefing.
Yeah, Dana White don't like you, so I don't like you.
That's not true. That's actually part of like a storyline.
No, it's a part of the script. Sorry.
Well, we have to stick together. The
so
Jews,
I gotta
the blacks, we stick together. We're like one, arm in arm.
What in the hell? Man, you better read the news.
No, listen,
Look at the news. Read the newspaper.
We stick together. We were your only allies back in the day, arm in arm in the South.
Like you said back in the day. What about now?
Yeah. What about now?
Yeah.
That's right.
What about now?
Who
what
turned
about
on who?
Tunnels? What about them tunnels and all that?
What about them?
See, we're not gonna talk about all that right now.
We can talk about whatever you want. Don't believe
Them
everything you
tunnels,
read.
them tunnels y'all had it going on in New York.
Yeah. What about them?
What was all that?
Tell me about
What's the tunnels about?
What do you know about them?
Shit, I don't know nothing about them.
You seem to know a lot about them.
I just seen video of them tunnels. What
Yeah.
y'all got going on over there?
I don't know.
Man, you all know y'all all talk to each other. Y'all keep y'all close.
You're crazy.
I know what's going on.
You're crazy.
Yeah.
You're crazy. This is some crazy
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, now you calling me crazy now. See, I ain't talking to you no more, man. You know, offend me by calling me crazy.
You can't believe everything you see on the internet.
Yeah, you can.
All right, fine.
All right. So whenever I post my picture of the reason why I pulled out, don't believe it then.
Oh, you're going to post it?
Nah, I ain't gonna.
Oh, okay, see, there you go. There you go. Case closed. Enjoy your food. Great to talk to you. Good luck in July. Looking forward to it. And don't be a stranger.
Yeah, I will.
All right.
I appreciate it.
All right, Derek.
All right.
God bless.
See you in 10 years.
Yes, can't wait. There he is, Derrick Lewis. He's some kind of pissed at Derrick Lewis, huh? Now, what's happening?
Fucking hell.
Yeah, fucking hell. Good to talk to him again. In the midst of all of that, I'm seeing all kinds of stuff here. What's happening? Oh.
That was unprompted. I thought maybe you had something.
Oh, I don't know. What's this? About Sean O'Malley? Recreated a real atmosphere in his gym from the locker. Wow. Is this from Embedded?
No, I think it's from his YouTube channel. That was for maybe tomorrow's show.
Oh, okay. All right. I wasn't sure. I was seeing all this stuff. Man, Derrick Lewis. Derrick Lewis was on one today. He was feeling himself.
Where did it all fall apart?
And
with
he's
Derrick?
always on one.
Where did it all fall apart? I mean, I think it fell apart the first time we met, but I think it's coming.
No, that's not true.
Is it coming
Derrick-
from a place of love, or did you not feel love this time?
I don't know.
It seemed exactly like the last time you talked to him 3.5 years ago.
Yeah, I guess you're just checking every 3.5 years once you find his phone number.
He's always been somewhat like a conspiracy theorist. No, I mean he lives on the internet. He would always find those like weird videos.
He's okay.
He's okay.
Yeah. No wonder he's
I know, but it
he's
used
still
to be a
harping on
regular
the
fixture of the show.
yeah. No, he came to our live show.
Came to our live show.
2000, I think it was 19, with TST in the house in Vegas. The trivia show.
Yeah.
I don't know. I enjoyed it for the most part.
General So's.
What was it called?
General Tisos.
Tisos.
It's a watch, I believe.
Can we talk about this? I have to admit, my thoughts were on Tibbs. The silver lining is I don't have to hear American broadcasters call him Thibodeau anymore. It was always Thibodeau, aka Thibodeau. Our organization is singularly focused on winning a championship for our fans. This pursuit led us to a difficult decision to inform Tom Thibodeau that we've decided to move in another direction. We can't thank Tom enough for pouring his heart and soul into each and every day of being the New York Knicks head coach. He led us not only with class and professionalism for the past 5 seasons, but also to tremendous success on the court with 4 playoff bursts and 4 playoff series victories. Ultimately, we made the decision we feel is best for our organization. Tom will always be a part of our Knicks family, and we truly wish him nothing but the best in the future. This takes a lot of guts. I didn't think that they would pull the trigger on this one because of the loyalty that they have for Tom. But I was saying to John Jastrzemski just a couple of days ago, I feel like my 2 favorite teams, the Knicks and the Bills, are stuck in the same spot because I wonder if both of them have gone as far as they could possibly go with their current head coach. And we've seen teams make these tough calls and enjoy great success as a result, most notably the 2019 Raptors, who fired the head coach of the year, Dwayne Casey, hired Nick Nurse, and went to the finals, of course. Acquiring Kawhi Leonard helped tremendously. But I do feel to a degree that Tom and McDermott have taken their teams as far as they could possibly go. So I don't hate this. I wonder, is there any talk of who they may sign? I have not been online, but Mike Malone comes to mind.
Yeah, that's the name that's on everybody's.
And I would be happy with Mike Malone. Won an NBA title in 2023. His father was an assistant coach with the Knicks, Brendan Malone, way back in the day.
Meta World Peace put his name in the hat, I'll tell you that.
What's Mike Woodson up to these days?
Mike Woodson is with Indiana.
No, he was a Knicks coach already.
You're talking about Mike Woodson?
Bring him back.
No.
He just retired.
Enjoy
You know
retirement.
what I would hate to see and love to see? Johnny
Jason
Bryant.
Kidd.
No, Johnny Bryant.
Johnny Bryant is.
I'd hate that because we have him.
Well,
and I don't want to give
he's
him
a
up.
finalist for the Jazz job.
Oh, is he?
I just saw that today.
Well, then there you go.
But he was with the Knicks for a long ass time.
Yeah, you should get him back. He's a great coach.
Wow. Well, I will say this to everyone kind of celebrating this. If you were watching the Knicks over the past 2 decades, you remember Larry Brown, you remember Lenny Wilkins, you remember Isaiah Thomas, you remember Derek Fisher, you remember Mike Miller, you remember David Fizdale, you remember Jeff Hornacek. Tom Thibodeau brought great stability to the Knicks and great success as well. And so it's mixed emotions.
There are some odds I'm seeing on who the next coach for the Knicks is going to be.
Okay.
Plus 240, Johnny Bryant. This one's going to get Rick too.
Yeah.
Plus 400, Kenny Atkinson.
Yeah, no chance.
I would love Kenny Atkinson.
Stop this.
I would love Kenny Atkinson. New York guy, got a raw deal with the Brooklyn Nets.
Who's Kenny coaching these days?
Kenny's coaching the Cavs.
The coach of the fucking year, and he's not going anywhere.
Oh.
Yeah. Wow, I just got a text from Jastrzemski right now saying I effing hate this.
By the way, I listened to that episode. It was good. Good
I
stuff.
appreciate that.
You did the same Thibodeau.
Are we happy or are we sad, Ariel?
I am
Different?
Definitely not indifferent. Processing. Appreciative, but ultimately I respect the gumption and I respect them pulling the trigger.
Gumption, great word.
I respect them saying we are not going to settle, that this wasn't good enough. And I never bought into the minutes stuff, but I did buy into some of the frustrations with the rotation and just being sort of stuck in his ways. Do you know what I mean? Like he's a little bit stuck in his ways. He doesn't play rookies. He doesn't go deep. He didn't tinker with the lineup. Maybe tinkered a little bit too late with bringing in Mitch into the starting lineup. But how many times? This might be one for the Stats and Info group. A coach leads the team to the Eastern Conference Final and gets fired. The last one might actually be Dwayne Casey, who lost to the Cavs in the Eastern Conference Final, won Coach of the Year, and got fired. Remember that?
Jordan was telling us earlier a lot of coaches of the year get fired the next season.
Yeah, sign of death, whatever the phrase is. Monty Williams, Mike Brown, Tom Thibodeau, Mark Daniels on that list.
But
Kenny
but
Atkinson
Tom
now.
isn't a reigning Coach of the Year. Dwayne was the reigning Coach of the Year.
No, Jordan, wasn't it the year after? Isn't that what you were saying?
I don't think Tom was Coach of the Year last year.
No, I think 2021.
Yeah. That great year when they came out of nowhere, the We Hear, Julius Randle Knicks.
And then the Hawks gentlemen swept them out.
Yeah, it was awful. Should have been fired back then.
I agree.
But anyway, exciting times. Exciting times. My vote is for Mike Malone. That's who I want.
Becky Hammond?
I'm sticking with
Hell
Mike
no.
Woodson.
Becky Hammond.
She has
coaching.
She has worse
Jalen
odds.
Brunson.
She has worse odds to be coached than Jeff Van Gundy right
What's
now.
wrong with Becky Hammond?
She talked mad shit about Brunson. She said he's not the guy and all that. Screw that.
We're muted over here.
Let the record show it wasn't really mad shit. It was, just saying.
That was
Can't be
accurate?
the best player on the championship
Bro,
team.
keep yourself muted. Keep yourself muted with takes like that.
I say hire Becky Hammond. I don't see what you.
Becky
Mike
Hammond?
Malone's a great coach.
Mike Malone
is a great coach.
Stop chatting shit.
Yeah.
Johnny Bryant's a great coach too.
Mike D'Antoni, plus 2,000.
Stop it with that.
Oh, I'm down for Dan.
From the great New York basketball account, no culture before Tibbs, no culture, 309 win percentage, six years, worse than the NBA, no playoff 7 years. Under Tibbs, culture back, 565 winning percentage, 4 out of 5 playoffs, Eastern Conference Final 2025. Tibbs, the man.
It's okay though to say like he brought culture and stability to it, and then we need something else for the move forward. I don't think that's disrespectful to say.
What's really telling about this, and I see a Josh Hart tweet saying forever grateful. What's really telling about all this, the last question that Jalen Brunson was asked at the post-game press conference was about, is Tibbs the guy to lead this team? And he was, annoyed by the question and said, are you really going to ask me that? Of course he's the guy. I back him. And here, 3 days later, he's gone. You'd have to think he knew about this. If he didn't, that would be a big problem. One name we haven't brought up, the great Rick Brunson. Is it his time to shine? Papa leading the charge.
A little
We
bit of
shall
a
see.
conflict there.
Why conflict? It's his dad. It's the old man.
As a conflict.
Representing
Representing what?
the best player
It's his father. He's an assistant coach.
Yeah, I don't know.
Doc and Austin never really got it right.
It didn't work. All right, gents. I need to go take a shower after that Derrick Lewis interview, so we're gonna
shower. It's tough.
We got a DAZN show to get to. Fuck.
Hard out.
There's no worse feeling than me thinking I'm going to hear the da 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 da, and I get to that. Let's go.
It's gonna wake you up in the middle of the night. Bingo writes in nothing. They sent $4.99. Got 4 thumbs up. We appreciate it.
God
what
bless.
else? Bingo then writes in, no other league has a number 2 if you think about it. I get they deserve more than the bouncing a ball, but I still also, how about the ref came from Saturday? Is my brain
Ref
melting?
Cam?
The ref cam, for sure.
Ref Cam.
Where's your brain at?
This stream of consciousness, though, is something to
Which
behold.
ref cam from Saturday? UFC?
Oh, yeah. They got the,
but what does that have to do with the number 2? And what's the bouncing?
there was like 4 separate thoughts.
Oh, and what's the bouncing ball?
Oh, this is the same guy that sent an empty one beforehand.
What bouncing ball?
I think he's comparing UFC to ball leagues.
Jesus.
But the just bouncing a ball is crazy.
Yo, I saw some people saying, let's get a tribute to Jordan Breen on the UFC broadcast this Saturday. That would be incredible.
That would be.
I would love to see that, and he deserves it. But I don't know. I don't know if they will do that. It would be a great, great thing. I mean, 5 seconds would be amazing. Think of that. What else?
RK Mark II sends 50 pesos. I believe John has knowledge of a Tom versus Alex title fight, having suggested it to the UFC, and under a non-disclosure agreement, has agreed to face the winner in 26.
I believe. Wait, say it again. I believe John has knowledge of a Tom versus Alex title. No, that's not true. What is that? $50?
50 pesos.
Yeah.
From RK Mark II.
How much is that?
50 pesos.
No. How much is that?
I don't know what the current.
Probably around $4.99.
What else?
What else?
Jake from Windy City. Holy crap! Knicks have sacked Tibbs.
Is Jake from the UK? No one says sacked here in America.
He says he's from Windy City.
I know. So like
Chicago, right?
Why are you saying sack, bro? What do you also say? 1-0?
The super chats are like a one-way conversation.
What else?
All right. Arthur. GC is a driver of Boys in the Back. Frank is sound. Appreciate it. Pizza Carol, writer, and his show. What does Eric actually do to be executive producer besides, this is...
Not a damn thing.
Yeah.
It's a nice life.
This is
People
false.
Nice
knew
life.
This
how
is
much
false.
we get done because of Rick, they would not say shit like this.
That's okay.
The amount of stuff that Rick does is endless.
Rick,
He's got it right.
You're going to be the lead point on this? That's always the question to Rick when it comes to these random meetings and everything.
All good.
you asked me to remind you
people
of
asking
something,
him, yeah.
Ariel. I wrote it down and then went and stuck it on Rick's desk because I'm like, he's the one who's going to get that done.
He's the straw that stirs
Right.
the drink.
I'm just the
Actually, though,
intermediary.
he is actually the straw that's
He's the engine. I would say I think Rick's greatest asset, 100% serious right now, is your organization skills.
Yes.
It's very rare for, like, I feel like guys aren't known for their organization skills. You are incredibly organized.
Yes, I am.
On top of it.
and very humble.
On top of it all the time.
Probably the most humble.
No, listen. I mean, I
am organized.
It's a fantastic.
If that's a brag,
skill.
I mean, I don't
It's
know
a
where we're
fantastic
at.
skill.
I am being 100% serious as well.
What do you mean about
you were like, let's be serious now. I'm being serious the entire time.
So
he does so much.
That was more for Frank, the serious thing.
No, I was
Frank. Like,
No, Frank.
He does an insane amount.
literally love this guy.
By the way, I wrote this comment so that you guys would do this.
There it
and
is.
Mission accomplished.
Listen, I'll take my compliment. You know,
I can't
pizza.
believe it.
Shout out
Slander.
Pizza Carol.
Shout out Pizza
Look,
Carol.
For those of you who are saying that he just yaps, fuck
That's
off.
true. Oh, there we go, Frankie. I like that.
Where is my Derrick Lewis toy, by the way?
We
I was
got-
wondering
honestly,
the same thing, man. You really,
I don't think
you really
I've-
walked into
What
that.
else?
I don't think I've seen that thing in years, so I don't.
I remember it. It was like this. But I don't know. I was looking around here. Someone probably stole it.
Antoine writes, I'm feeling myself today, lads. And then he sends us $2.
Ant Evans.
Oh, my God.
Oh, he's been in the chat, man. He's been holding court in chat.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure this
He was holding an AMA earlier. It was kind of funny.
Did he love it? Was it good? Like, was it
He
entertaining?
said he was in the middle of a meeting and his phone started blowing up.
I was just he wrote me in Megillah. I don't get paid to write on X, so I was like, I might as well just respond to you here on the show. Isn't that better? I hope he's not offended, is he?
No,
I don't
he
know.
seemed to be in
By the way, I probably have like 8 voice notes waiting for me in WhatsApp. Oh,
I'm sure you got a lot of Tibbs ones, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%. What else?
All right, lastly, this is an important one from Jake from Windy City. Rest in paradise.
Ah,
Gordon
yes.
Breen, his work at SureDog was one of the huge parts of my MMA fandom back then.
Amen. Andrew McGahan, he linked and tagged me in a preview video that we did back in Winnipeg, UFC 161, I think it was. And I watched it yesterday, parts of it, and yeah, just hard to watch. And all the tributes, beautiful tributes. But you know what? I want to give Ant some credit because he had a very, I thought, poignant tweet and an on-point tweet regarding the sentiments that were shared yesterday. And I actually want to read it as we call it a day. This is how much I love Ant. Was just talking with a friend about Jordan Breen. I wasn't tight with Jordan, but I knew him well. Knew him well enough to know I liked him, and I always deeply respected his knowledge of MMA. My mate noted, while it is lovely to see all the tributes today, it does nothing to help Jordan. He's not here to see it. He'll never know. None of us get out alive. We're all flies. All of us are going to drop. So maybe if there's someone you admire, even from a distance, tell them, a DM, a reply, a comment. Just let them know, because one day it'll be their turn to have 24 hours of beautiful tributes they will never see. And then the world will move on. Better they hear it while they're alive. There it is. And he's 1,000% right.
Well said.
Not right about the wash stuff, but 1,000% right here. And so, yes, everyone watching, all, I don't know how many thousands of you, 1,831. Tell one person today that you appreciate them. Tell them that you respect them. Tell them that you enjoy their presence, enjoy their work, enjoy their friendship, enjoy their camaraderie, appreciate, love them. It'll feel good. It'll make them feel good. It'll make you feel good. So, a great lesson there after a pretty shitty Monday. All right, let's call it a day. Hard out, 356, nailed it. Thank you so much, Frank.
Of course. Also, love everyone here.
Love you. Love you despite all the jokes, despite all the ribbing, if you will.
Well, if you show up to a Arepas feast every now and then.
Arepas. Why are you guys giving me such a hard time with the arepas?
It's fun because you get so it's fun to just poke the bee's nest a little bit.
Is it?
Until you get stung.
I get so what?
You get
what?
so
Finish the thought.
Unraveled.
Do I really?
Triggered.
I
don't know.
Oh, between you and black bees?
Yeah. You handled it well.
I
should find that bobblehead though.
Yeah. Can I be honest? I think I broke it.
Okay. You're not gonna blame one of us? I was so surprised that you didn't.
No, I think it fell, and I think it broke. And I did feel bad about it, but now I'm not sure if I still do. The look of love. Well, it was a great day. What about that Mark Kriegel? What a storyteller, huh? I wish I'd get his thoughts on Mark Kriegel. Wait, not Mark Kriegel? On Tom Thibodeau.
Get his own thoughts on himself.
Oh, my dear. Jason Kidd. I'm just, people saying Jason Kidd now? Come on.
I'm down for Jay Kidd.
No. Oh, Jay Wright. What about Jay Wright?
Wow. That would take some money, but that's a hire right there.
Man, I don't love the college.
Bring in Jay, get Devo back, and now we're really
Jay's
rolling.
got the look for the next
Oh
coach.
my God, he's got the suits, the hair, everything. Anyway, thank you to Shawne Merriman. Thank you, Mark Kriegel. Thank you, Derrick Lewis. Thanks to you. Thanks to them. Back tomorrow, same time. This is it. Peace. I'm out here.